the Schuylkill Township Board of Supervisor meeting for July 2026, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have with us tonight on the board John Callahan, myself, Bob Cooney, Devin Hager, Danielle Juen, and John Kiernan. We have an announcement of an executive session before tonight's meeting discussing potential litigation, potential property acquisition, and personnel. And tonight we'll start off with a presentation. Jeff and Tyler are here from Barbicane Thornton and Company, and they'll give us a presentation on the township's completed 2025 audit report. I'll turn it over to you guys.
Thank you very much. I drew the short straw, so I'm up here. And so I'm Jeff Kowalczyk. With me is Tyler Long. We're with Barbicane Thornton and Company, the independent auditors for the township. I'm the engagement partner, so I sort of oversee the higher level review and oversight of the engagement. Tyler, as our supervisor, our audit supervisor, is really the one who is here working with our team members day in, day out throughout the audit process, performing the tests, performing the inquiries, getting an understanding for how the township operates, also that we can come here and issue our opinion on the financial statements. We issue two separate kinds of reports. One is a regulatory report to comply with the DCED, the Department of Community and Economic Development, which requires the submission of an annual audit and financial report by April 1st. I'm pleased to let you know that we issued an unmodified or clean opinion on that report, and it was timely filed. Additionally, we perform an audit of your basic financial statements, which is the larger document that I believe you received today, which is about 55 pages long. And I'm pleased to let you know that based on our testing, we're also issuing an unmodified or clean opinion on that financial report. So this was a year where the township came in well relative to budget. And it sounds like you're discussing some properties, which you'll see. One of the big things with your township is the open space fund, which has a large impact when you look at your annual net income or net loss for the year, in that fund, unlike a lot of funds where you receive and spend the money within the current year, tends to grow, and then you have property spend downs. So when you are looking at your 2025 numbers, and we're halfway through 2026, so I didn't want to go too in depth on the numbers, but in the packet in front of you, you'll see that this in 2025, in most of your funds, you saw that you had a modest net income where your revenues were a little higher than your expenditures for the year, except for the special revenue funds, which is driven by your open space fund as the largest special revenue fund. And in that fund, you saw a 30%, or the net income for the year was 30% of your total revenue. And that's as you build up for long-term purchases. Looking at your numbers for the year, they're pretty consistent with where we've seen you in recent years as far as the breakdown in expenditures between general government, public safety, and public works. So there was nothing that jumped out at us as unusual or needing to bring to this board as a concern. What I'd really like to do is open it up to any questions that anybody may have about the audit process, our audit results, or anything else that I can touch on. Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't work. So we have a lot of documents in our workspace today.
Yes.
And some of them, when I was reading through them, kind of seemed like somewhat duplicative of each other. So I want to make sure that I'm looking at the correct document that you would consider the final audit report.
That's fair.
Okay. So there is a file that is because I see I've got a filing confirmation here. I've got a transmittal letter in here. I've got a summary. Is it the document that's the Schuylkill Township DCED?
So the DCED is the final copy of the regulatory filing.
Okay.
And then there should be one that probably is Schuylkill Basic FS or Basic Financial Statements.
Yeah, it's Schuylkill TWP FS 123125 is the full.
And that's going to be the
financial
final
document.
copy of your
Okay.
basic financial statements.
I included the DCED, the filed DCED documents, so that you could look at them together if you wanted
Yeah.
to.
Okay.
Yeah, they are. The input information is the same between the two documents, but they require different presentation. So the DCD requires you to put all of your funds into a few different categories. So there's a column for the general fund, a column for all special revenue funds, which is things like your open space, but also the highway aid fund, the liquid fuels money you get from the state. Then you have a capital projects bucket in the DCD report that is broken out between various capital funds within the township. And then the other fund group that you have is fiduciary funds, which is your two pension funds, the police and non-uniform pension funds. And one thing that if you read through all 50 plus pages of the financial statements, and you know, I certainly invite you to, one of the things you'll see that I did want to bring up is that your pension plans are both doing quite well with the current market conditions and are fully funded, actually a little bit over 100% funded. So presumably, you know, this September will be your next MMO payment. So it seems like you're in good shape where you should continue to just require the sort of the minimum municipal obligation to be paid, which is always good to see. Markets have been a little less stable this year, but we don't anticipate any change to that. It seems like you should still be in a good shape because you have a very balanced portfolio within those pensions. That's I know is managed by an outside consultant.
So when I'm looking at this report and it's 57 pages towards the
Yes.
end there's a couple pages of what I would presume to be like caveats, sort of maybe caveats toward the end. There's no like executive summary.
There is not an executive summary.
Okay.
The closest thing to a true executive summary would maybe be the summary financial statement document that's in there. That is, the township is required to publish a condensed financial report in a newspaper. And that's what that summary financial statement is.
Okay.
But it is extremely condensed.
Okay.
It's like 6 lines.
Okay.
So that might be condensed beyond what would, in a modern sense, be helpful, but it's compliant with the law. But I think if you, the last 2 pages of that document are the government auditing standards report. So because you are a governmental entity, we perform your audit in accordance with government auditing standards, which require that we look not just at the numbers, but also at the internal control over financial reporting to look for risks or problems with that may need to be addressed. Fortunately, despite the language being what it is, that is a clean, unmodified report on compliance with government auditing standards.
I have a question. I'm on, I think, page 9,
Okay.
general fund budgetary highlights. And,
Yes.
and this might be a better question for you, Lori, but I noticed one of the bulleted points as far as the positive budget variance, public works expenditures were $524,865 lower than budget, which is maybe good news, maybe bad news, but it seems like a big number. So it just caught my eye as, do we know what that's attributable to, that we spent $500,000 less on public works expenditures than we thought?
Yes, we did not pave because we had issues with
Right,
we rejected the bid,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't have as much snow removal as we planned for.
Oh, right, because this is last.
It's
Right,
year end
yeah, yeah,
2025.
gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. Makes sense.
Even then, December versus January moves them between years. It's
Yeah.
because we come in and audit in February and it'll be like, oh yeah, we had a good snow year, and there'll be 2 feet on the ground.
So another question, one of the other positives, same page, tax revenues were $390,000 higher than budgeted. What was the cause for the big surge in taxes last year?
I believe
It was
that's earned
EIT.
income tax.
Yeah, it was earned income tax.
Yeah, the majority of your taxes is earned income tax, and the fluctuation is generally just a result of economic conditions and
And
perhaps-
hard to predict, so we budget fairly conservatively for
Yeah.
EIT. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm reflecting back to the executive summary because I was thinking of it one way, but if you're looking for a couple pages to read and get a sense for how the year was, that management's discussion and analysis document that they're referring to, that's probably going to be your best bet. I think that's pages 4 through 10, and it's kind of a higher level, and its purpose is not just to focus on what the numbers are, but to talk a little bit about why. And to look forward to next year, the structure of management's discussion and analysis is changing under government accounting standards. So that document will look a little different and hopefully be even more useful in the future. That's next year's problem.
I was going to say, because I feel like I remember that discussion
Yeah.
involving me having a lot more work to do.
A little more. You'll be fine.
It's a next year problem.
Yeah. Yeah, luckily that one is one that the school districts will be implementing this June 30th. So they'll work out the
They'll work out
problems.
the kinks.
Yeah.
I like that.
Any other questions? You're satisfied with everything you've seen?
Yep, we've gone through it several times. So
Yeah. Yeah, actually that's a good point. I should mention the process starts even before the audit starts. We actually come to the elected auditors meeting every January to walk them through the audit process. So in their elected capacity, they have an understanding. And then we discuss sort of the timeline and outline for the audit. Our team is here generally in February performing the field work. And by mid-March, we've gotten all the external confirmations and third-party assertions back to us. And then we issue that DCD report, and then we start to put together the basic financial statements. So we have a number of meetings to go over the drafts throughout the process before we get to this point.
So when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the police pension plan on 39,
Yes.
page 39. And so I'm seeing the difference, between the actual and projected investment returns, the total deferred outflows and inflows, and one is slightly higher than the other. And I think is that getting to we have a well-funded pension plan?
Yes.
Okay. So
yeah,
I'm sorry. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Okay.
I will tell you a lot of the detailed numbers and information in there are prepared by an actuary.
Okay.
And we just kind of
No.
We make
And
sure
that,
they look
no, I'm
right
not
and
going to dig in that
put them
level.
in.
I promise.
So okay.
I'm
'cause I may
not
know
going to
the
dig it into
answer,
that
but-
level. But I guess
What's
for
the
me,
wording?
not being an accountant,
Yes.
not having that, you presenting on that and saying that, looking at this, we're well funded, our pension's well funded. It would take a lot more work for me to do that. If there's a way that some sort of a higher level summary could hit on those major points.
So there is for things like the pension and OPEB,
Yeah.
and we can, so two things. One,
Not for this
note-taken
year, I'm
for
just
next
saying.
year for an executive
Yes.
summary for this meeting. I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
But number two, after the notes, so page like 41, 42,
Mhm.
there are a couple of 10-year schedules that show the funding history of the plan. And at the bottom of that, it'll have a percentage that sort of says what its funding percentage is. And you can see it having risen up from, I think, in the 80s to being 100 or a little higher. I guess it's 47 and 48.
One of the things, I think that's partly based on our assumed interest rate of what we've used
Yeah.
compared to other townships. We've been a little lower and where we weren't as aggressive as others, and we've done well
Yeah.
with market changes and
Yeah.
Yeah.
stayed stable with our pensions.
It's crazy to say this in 2026, but the condition of each governmental entity's pension plan is still a reflection of what their philosophy was shortly before 2008.
Yeah.
Because the PESERS, which is the state school employee retirement plan, in 2006, I think it was, they reduced their contribution rates and increase the payouts to their members. And it's 2026 and they're still only 65% funded because of how aggressively they were invested at the time and the assumptions they made. So, and this is 18 years later. So it is wild how that is still, we're still seeing that in the financial statements of governmental entities. But fortunately for you, what we're seeing is a good, strong, steady picture. You can see over the years that it's been up to 120, 130% funded. And then when market conditions aren't that great, it's at like 90%. And then it comes right back up to fully funded. So you can see that even if economic conditions turn negatively, your plans are well funded, or they're well positioned to not require emergency infusions from the township.
Good.
And that's really the important thing, the stability of the township's commitment to the plans.
Those percentages of asset classes, are those reviewed annually based on like changing market conditions, or?
I'm going to defer to Lori on that. I presume you meet at least annually with the pension investment folks.
We meet quarterly. Actually, in some years we've done just twice a year. But yes, they're reviewed more than once a year. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And they're pretty consistent with what we see for other municipalities. You know, municipalities versus the school district, it's a little different because municipalities tend to have a lot of police officers on the plan, retire younger relative to so it's.
We've always done well compared to the market.
Yeah.
Great company we work with. All right, if there's no other questions,
Or one more.
go ahead.
So looking at the manager letter, there's a couple of things in there. They all seem fairly low impact, like disaster recovery plan and accounting policy, the password policy. The investment policy was the one that actually stood out to me. Is that something, would you put that on par with something like an accounting manual or something like that? Is that something you see commonly among townships, is having that formalized?
I think it's an important discussion to have. So right now, the township doesn't do a lot of structured investing of its general funds.
Right.
Its general funds, open space funds. Especially when the interest rates shot up, we saw a lot of municipalities getting into more complicated CDs and PISLAF and Pliget investment vehicles without a policy to guide them. So that's really where we were looking at that, like, hey, if you're going to be getting adventurous, make sure within the law, make sure, which is extremely strict for anybody who hasn't looked at it. But I think having a policy in place helps guide the board to lay out the vision. I don't think it is something that, like I said, it's a recommendation. It's not a finding, this isn't a problem, but it's an opportunity for if you're going to have funds for multiple years or want to look at the more edgier stuff of the Pennsylvania Act 10 investments. It's an opportunity to flesh that out.
And we've not done any of while we did open accounts with Pliget to take advantage of the higher interest rates, we weren't doing that in a typical investment sort of way. We were taking advantage of their high interest earning accounts, but using them really as a savings account. So it wasn't, we're not,
their core product.
Yeah,
rather than their sort of
they
novel.
offer other options that we could take advantage of. But an investment policy is certainly something that we will look at.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Anything else? Thank you very much.
All right, well, thank you so much for having us out tonight and for having us out to do your audit. It's always a pleasure to work with Lori and Valentina and their team. And I hope you all have a great rest of your summer.
Thanks. We appreciate your support. All right, getting into the regular business meeting, consent agenda, acceptance of minutes of Board of Supervisors, June 8th, 2026, regular business meeting. I'll make a motion that we accept all departmental, committee, commission, and council reports as posted and received by the Board of Supervisors for the month of June 30, 2026. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any comments from public? All in favor?
Aye.
Treasurer's report and payment of bills. I'll make a motion, consideration of acceptance of treasurer's report for period ending June 30th, 2026. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, Lori.
Yes. So on the treasurer's report for June 30th, we had a general fund balance of just over 6.5 million, down slightly over last month. Our revenues have started to slow at this time of the year. Most of our tax payments have come in, although we will still continue to see some slowly rolling in over the next couple of months. You'll notice on the treasurer's report for this month, at the 2 meetings ago, the board authorized us to start moving some of our funds to a new banking institution. So you'll see those new accounts set up here with First Resource Bank. So it does look like we are increasing our number of bank accounts, which is true temporarily, but the intent will be we're doing a slow move of the funds over to the new accounts to not be disruptive to our checks that are going out and our payments that are coming in. So once we feel confident that all of our checks have cleared out of our existing bank accounts and that all of our payments have been transitioned over to our new accounts, you'll see those Truist accounts disappear off of the treasurer's report once there are no longer any more funds in them. So far, that process is going great. It's tedious, but we're happy with how that's rolling so far.
Excellent. We have a motion, a second. Any comments, questions from the public? All in favor? Aye. Okay, approval of or I'll make a motion for the approval of disbursements dated July 13th, 2026. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion, comments, questions from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, subdivision and land development. All right, first on the dock, we have zoning hearing board application for 418 West Pot House Road. I'm going to let Lori explain this one.
Yeah, so this is an application that came in for zoning hearing board. The applicant is proposing a 6,540 square foot small storage flex space type of facility. This is at the intersection across from, it's the parcel of land that's currently vacant that's across from Foresta's at the corner of Pot House and Charlestown Road. The reason this is on your agenda tonight, and I don't believe, it's my understanding that the applicant is not going to be here tonight. Is there anyone here for the applicant? No, okay. They weren't available to come tonight, but I wanted to put it on the agenda for the board to take a look at because they're scheduled for the zoning hearing board on August 12th, which would mean if it only first came before you on August 10th, you would only have 2 days to consider if you have any questions, concerns, if you wanted to take a position. If you chose to oppose the application, that wouldn't give very much time for our engineer and our solicitor to get prepared for that hearing. So all of the materials are in your workspace. Paul might have some comments on this. He may have looked at it briefly, although it's not been reviewed yet because he's not been instructed. But you don't have to make any decision on this tonight. The intention of this was just to give you some time to work through any questions you might have. If there was anything you wanted us to follow up with the applicant on, we can do so in advance. And then they do intend to come before you on August 10th. But like I said, I just didn't want that to be the first time that you had an opportunity to review it.
Okay.
The proposed possible uses, mixed office, indoor warehouse storage, and vehicle repair, is that worded that way because of what we know about the application, or is that how it's zoned? Like the idea of mixed office and vehicle repair in the same building strikes me as a little interesting. So I guess I'm just curious about, like, do we know more about who they think their tenants might be or how they might market, and would that give us an opinion on how we might want to be supportive or not?
Devin, in their application, they do note no specific tenants have been yet identified. So I think they are just trying to get an approval. Yeah, it's going to be based off of this sketch. There's 4 30 by 50 structures, and then the last one it's a little smaller. It's 18 by 30. So I don't know if they were going to try to combine two, make something bigger, but right now, like they said, they have like 5 units on their application.
So this is I can't remember, it was previously a dentist office that was right across.
That corner, yeah.
Yeah, right across from Frestas. So this is also the property that has the train line behind it as part of that could potentially be part of the DeVault Trail. And so I'm just interested in how this could potentially impact. Again, we're talking really far down the road, but we do know that they have been interested in selling the right of way for that. How this development could, this development plan could potentially impact future use of that segment of the potential future trail. I'm not sure if that's something that if you reviewed it, or if you.
This is the third time I've looked at this property at the township since I've been here. And
It's
yes,
a challenge to develop, I think, because it's cut in half with this rail line.
yeah, well, I believe the rail property is actually not included in the property. It's
Okay.
just adjacent to it.
Okay.
And the other applicants that had come in here didn't have, like, they worked with the rail area as well. Trying to take a rail, an easement from a railroad has always been a challenge in my career. They are very hard to move, but if it is going to become a trail, the rails to trails type of thought process, that I personally don't think any of the previous applications nor this, because the work is being done all on their property. They are not drifting into the adjoining property. So I don't know if there would be an impact to it, other than they might say, a future applicant might say, the trail's real close to our property, but.
Well, I guess one of the things they're asking for a variance on is setbacks. So are those setbacks against that trail line I'm calling it a trail? I know it's not a trail right now, but it is a prospective trail. And I can look at the map too. I'm sorry, Paul.
Rear and side, so yes, based on their sketch, because that's the.
It
Yeah.
looks like, in my
Yes.
opinion, I think they asked for just the side setback, which if the side setback is, because it's an unusually shaped property, the front setback is on Pothouse Road. The side setback would be close to where the trailers are, and the rear setback would be where the trail is, based off of how the layout of the property is. So I know that they're asking for a side setback, which would be the side, if you have the sketch in front of you, of the units closest to those trailers. I do want the board of supervisors to know they did not submit a sketch plan application. They went out and they have selected the special exception and the zoning relief that they think they need. Once this would come through the land development process, there would be a more thorough review of this. So I don't know if this is all the relief that they will require, but that was up to the applicant on how they wanted to proceed. The other two applications submitted a sketch plan to try to flush out their issues.
So at this point, it's going in front of the planning commission,
Zoning hearing.
or
board.
zoning hearing board. And we need to determine whether or not we want to send somebody to oppose.
Now, they have indicated that they would like to come before you on August 10th at your next board meeting. So you can do nothing tonight, or if you have questions that you'd like us to get answers from them ahead of time, or let them know that this is what you're going to be interested in discussing. This is just general feedback. Or if you already know what you'd like to do on it, you certainly can make a decision.
Is this the property where Bader's used to be? Once upon a time, there was a mom and pop. So it's the other side of the tracks from that? Okay.
This is the vacant
I
lot
see.
right on the
Right.
corner.
They have a rendering out in front of it.
They do have a sign.
Yeah.
it's
Like
on-
storage space.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
I don't know if that's-
yes, on the property, yeah.
It's just, marketing concept there.
Oh, I see. For some reason, I thought I see the sketch plan now. For some reason, I thought that the rail lines were more on that property there to the, whatever that is, the southwest
Correct.
of it. But it does look like, okay, so they are considering that to be their rear yard setback.
Yes, and I would tend to agree with that, because the property does front on Pothouse Road.
Yes.
So I would give that the rear. And as far as the side setbacks are concerned, the one where the building or the proposed buildings are, I would feel that's a side. And obviously that little area between Pothouse and Charlestown Road would be a side area, but there's nothing going on in that area.
And they are not asking for any zoning relief in that rear yard setback.
No,
Okay.
nor front. And I think just in reviewing the plans too, one thing to note, they are asking, they should have 30 spaces. They are only providing 26, and when you review the plans, they don't have any ADA compliant spaces there. Every space they have is 20 by 10. So it's
Okay.
my opinion that when they go through this process, they'll have to add one, maybe two ADA based off of what uses are going to be. Is it going to be a doctor's office? Is it going to be a this or that? So there could be a chance that some additional parking spaces might be compromised. Again, I didn't go through a whole sketch review. I just looked at, I'm very topical of what was giving me concerns based off of what that is. So I wanted to present that to the board as well.
I mean, I guess my feeling is if they're not asking for any kind of relief that impacts the potential future use of the trail, I wouldn't be in favor of opposing it. And then that means we do nothing. Just my thought.
Particularly considering the use adjacent to the requested setback, seems to just be kind of like open parking. Like it's not like there's another structure right on top of it.
Is that property right here? Is that the party?
Yeah, they've got those like,
Fair.
from this picture. They've got like some trailers there right now. So like I think this is the line where they requested setbacks.
Well, what is the expected setback, side yard setback supposed to be?
25 feet.
Okay.
Yeah. So
They're showing 25.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's.
yeah, but they're part like. I didn't look into the depth of this, but a lot of the township ordinance are like parking can be within 1/2 of a side setback or a rear setback type of thing. So so again, they didn't ask for this relief. There was no sketch plan. And again, I didn't look at it for this particular property, this application. But typically, if it's a 25-foot setback, they will the township ordinance typically allows like 12.5 feet. Half the distance can go into the parking. There's still no structure, but there would be curb and things like that. In this case, they're aggressive with a 25-foot setback. They didn't ask for that relief, so.
Okay, so yeah, I'm looking at this 25-foot years. Sorry, sorry. I feel like it's been a long week. It's Monday. I'm looking now at a different plan document. So this is. Well, it says sheet number 1 of 1, but what exhibit is it?
Is it the plan with the proposed information?
The
Dan?
very
Yes.
last plan in the sheet is there.
Yes, it's the very last one. So this is showing that same 25-foot rear setback, but it's showing the parking spaces within that.
Correct. Yeah, I think they have the parking offset by 5 feet off of the property line.
So
Based-
is that something they are asking you variance for?
No.
They're allowed to do that.
I don't know. I didn't look at this. I was
Okay.
I looked at what they had, and then I was like I said, I was doing a very topical review of this.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think back to like the Wawa application, they had gotten relief for parking within certain setbacks and things like that. Again, they didn't submit a sketch plan, so we couldn't ferret through all of this. But there are potential other complications, which if they do get this relief from the zoning hearing board, and they do submit a land development, we'll do a review. And if there's zoning comments that pop up, then they have the opportunity to go back to the zoning hearing board. It's just their choice of process.
You're saying right now,
That 26 spots instead of 30. Of the 26, several would have to be ADA.
I won't say several, but at least one, but it depends on
Depending on-
uses. It could be two.
So you don't have a big objection with that ask. That I'm going right just through the three here. The 10, 25 from what everybody's saying, they're only asking for 10 backing up to the party store. The rest of it has the setbacks required. It's just that property line is where they have a 10-foot setback, if I'm reading this correctly.
Well, I think what Paul just said is he's not sure because the parking spaces that are now,
those
Yeah.
could be, I see.
and that's where the future trail would
I
be.
see. Okay.
So
Okay, yeah, and that's, and
he's
this,
not quite
this is
sure
the
if
side yard. That's the one
that's,
they're requesting
I get
here.
it.
that requires a
For
waiver.
the
They
building.
haven't asked for one explicitly
But again, I
regarding
think the
that.
parking's too close on.
So if we approve this based on this sketch, are we getting looped into accepting that this has
You're not approving it.
any, I mean, or if we, I should say, if this goes through, if we don't stand against it, it goes through, how much of this can they use to say, you know, we already sent a plan through and we're going to build up against within that, I mean, where the parking spaces are?
One of the things that they have to establish, first, Paul will have an opportunity before, obviously, the ZHB hearing, but before our August 10th meeting to kind of do a deeper dive to see whether he can issue spot anything else. But one of the things that they need to represent when they go before the zoning hearing board is this is the minimum relief necessary and this is it. So if they come back and they need something else, they can't come in and say, well, you already proved the other thing, approve this little bit extra. That's on them to establish it the first pass.
Okay.
And what you're saying is you're concerned because it is right up against the
And again, this
potential
is
trail.
a future aspirational
Well,
project,
no, I agree.
right?
Yeah, I agree.
But we shouldn't be doing things that are gonna. I mean, my thought is we don't take any action right now on with the understanding they're going to come before the board and explain this project and be available to answer questions for us, and that will give you a little bit more time to look into whether this actually requires zoning relief. What they're planning on doing here with the.
I can certainly look deeper into it if authorized by the township to do so. Usually, like I said, the other two applications gave a sketch plan, so they set up an escrow, et cetera, for the engineering review.
Yeah, this applicant has not.
This-
So basically, if they go to the zoning hearing board and then they submit and it turns out they need additional relief, they have to go to zoning hearing board again.
Yeah.
So that's the risk that they're taking by taking this method. Paul has not reviewed it because they haven't paid for him to review it.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't want us to incur any expense that's not compensated by the developer. So how about we just, you know, don't fight it, don't oppose it, but ask them to come and explain the project at the next.
So they would
Meeting.
come in front of us before they go
Yeah.
to the zoning hearing board.
Yeah.
I'm
Correct.
fine with that.
Yeah, it's only 2 days. That's
Yep.
why, yeah.
Okay. All right. And moving along. Zoning hearing board for 35 South Spring Lane. Lori, if you want to.
Yes, so this applicant is proposing constructing a semicircle driveway with, and he needs relief because he's proposing less than 300 feet between the two entrances. So he's requesting a special exception to allow that additional access to his driveway. And the application is in your workspace.
Google Maps.
And
If I'm
this
not
hearing has
mistaken-
not been scheduled yet.
And what's the
They're not
address?
advertised yet.
35.
Oh, that's off of, is it across the street from 23? Spring Lane? Right. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
20, was it? 23?
Supposed to.
20, is it
35.
30?
All your thoughts on this one?
Sorry. I did look at this one.
Sorry. Too
Sorry.
many people.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. So I did look at this. They are proposing, a wraparound driveway, 14 feet wide. The lot, according to their sketch, is 120 feet wide. So it's my understanding, based off of reading the application, that they're looking to do this based off of some challenges for the property owner presently to get back into the house. They are expanding the driveway, the existing driveway as well on the one side. I didn't do any kind of deep calculations to know if they would need, any kind of stormwater management based on this, because it's a 14-foot wide driveway. Plus, like I said, the expansion off to the side.
The house itself, the front door has a stoop, so there's one step, so they might be putting in potentially a ramp based off of the premise of the application. But the Governor's Drive or the Loop Drive won't necessarily match a lot of what's going on in that development itself. Being 120 foot wide, that's why there's a reason there's a requirement for 300 feet. It gets it a little bit more of a space between driveway entrances, but that's why we have the awareness for the 300 feet. But he's claiming hardship.
It looked as though in their application that a member of the neighbors were contacted and signed something with some comments. And while one of the neighbors had some reservations, their conclusion was that they approved it and were going to hope for the best, or think optimistically about it. So it didn't seem like any of the neighbors opposed it. I'm not sure if we've gone through and tied it back to all of the addresses that are adjacent to it.
One of the things on top of that is, I think in the past we haven't wanted to do this to set a precedent and have more impervious, more stormwater runoff, and all the related stuff that comes with it, unless there's special need.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the application is distinctly stating that there's the need, the hardship on why they want that. Obviously, they'd have to cut the existing curb that's in front of their property, and all the paving that would go along with it. Again, I haven't looked to see if this would trigger stormwater management. This is a sizable amount of impervious that's being added, and I don't know if they've done anything since 2013. That would be cumulative of 1,000 square feet that would prompt it. But
And whether or not we oppose it or did not at some hearing board, that doesn't undermine our ability to review it for stormwater management purposes if it comes to us for that.
Correct. As long as if it goes over 1,000 square feet, that would prompt stormwater management. If cumulatively from 2013 and what they're proposing here falls under, then there would be no stormwater management. But this would be on the permit. It would be noted how much extra impervious has been done. So in the event that in 2 years they want to put a porch or an extension off the back, and that even if it's 500 feet, that would take the cumulative effect, and that would trigger the stormwater management for the property owner at the time.
And we've had a number of complaints about stormwater issues. You may not recall, there was one meeting where a gentleman was very upset we didn't have 24-hour emergency management services, and sandbags being provided by our township
On private property. Yeah. Is there any possibility of having this? Is anybody here representing this property? Any chance we could have them come in and have a meeting first, or how would that work?
They were informed that it was going to be on the agenda. I can certainly, we can request that the applicant come. I don't believe that this applicant is represented by an attorney, but we can request that they appear on August 10th.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how, to what level of inquiry we give, like how much the request will or won't tie to the handicap. Like, I don't know, how hard it would be for them to get here, for example. Like, I don't know how much we poke at that or don't.
And that's something that the zoning hearing board will have
They'll look
to
into.
consider. Yeah.
That to me is what it really comes down to. It's like if it's truly, significant or helpful for this individual to be able to remain in his home, that seems to make a big difference to me than if it's just more about aesthetics. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm inclined not to take a position because I feel as though if they do surpass the impervious surface requirements, it's going to come to us anyway.
Yeah, again, the only concern I have is setting precedent. We've stood strong on this for a long time to not let it be part of developments for somebody to come in. I'd prefer they come in and meet with us. We request a meeting or have them come in.
I can request it. Zoning hearing board decisions are not precedent setting. So it's not necessarily that just because one gets it, everyone that comes after gets it. As you know, the zoning hearing board. here's each case individually.
Okay. Good
Part of
point.
this one does have to delve a little bit into the nature of their handicap before the zoning hearing board, where they're under oath, and how that then ties to the relief they're seeking.
All right. In that case, I mean, what do you guys think? Let it go? Oppose?
Yeah. I'm not inclined
Let it
either.
go? All right.
ZHB do what they do.
All right, no position.
He's got a note in his application too, saying he's personally disabled and doing his best to not leave his house. So if he wasn't handicapped, yeah, come in and come talk about it. But I don't want to force him to come out here just for
All right.
pomp and circumstance.
Okay. Moving along. 1485 Valley Forge presentation and submitted sketch plan.
Oh, yes.
Do it now while we're setting up. No, we can go out. If we need to have a brief recess to discuss something in exec, can we head into the office?
You
All
can,
right.
you're welcome to take that off if it's easier for you to stand over there.
No.
It's up to you.
Makes sense.
Thank you for having us tonight. It's been a long, hard road to get here, but we're here and we appreciate it. And we did want to thank you for the last time we were here, we were in the conditional use hearing. So we wanted to thank you for all your efforts there. Honorable mention to Laurie and Michael for all your help during that process as well. I'm here tonight, so I'm Jesse Carpino of Bentley Homes, joined tonight with other members of my team, Thomas Bentley and Scott Emerson. And we're here to, discuss our sketch plan for 1485 Valley Forge Road. And what we hope, at the end of this is that we get some, constructive feedback, honest opinions. We really want to know, what you think of the plan. We put a lot of time and effort into it and we like it, but there's, we're biased. So we want to, definitely hear your opinions. Oh, you got it? Nice. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. So for those of you who are not familiar with Bentley Homes, we are, for the past 50 years, the premier custom builder in Chester County, Delaware County, and Montgomery County. We've done a lot of, outstanding communities. One even, down the street from here, Valley Park. But with this community, we're very excited about it. And I think, working together, we'll be able to create something special. Next page. So you can do a couple clicks. I think it was supposed to be like an action button, but yeah, that's not gonna work. Keep going. One more. There we go. So a general overview of the property. Property is about 46 acres. On the property, there's existing structures and improvements. We talked about, past the existing farmhouse and the barn, but also on the property there is a Founders Hall. So this was the Valley Forge Conference Center property. Founders Hall was built in like the late 80s. Pretty substantial building. And then the Mission Hall building was built in the 90s. There's a series of sheds and miscellaneous structures on the property, but these are the main focus of the property. And as you can also see, the site is kind of bifurcated by two right-of-ways running north to south. This is the water main transmissions for Aqua. And as you'll notice, the western portion of the property has been developed. It has improvements on it, while the eastern half, is still heavily vegetated, not disturbed. And that's kind of what we focused on. So we minimize our disturbance on the property. So you'll see in the sketch plan, a lot of that focus of keeping the natural barriers and buffers and open space was was paramount. Okay, next page. Sure.
Question. So there's no natural gas pipelines back there? It's just the two high pressure water mains?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know, and the easement around there, is it like a 10-foot, 15-foot easement on either side? 10?
I believe it's 10 on each side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So this is our site plan, and I can probably move that a little further if you want to see it up close. But the plan was, consists of 49 single-family detached homes. The average lot size is just under 10,000 square feet. And the homes will generally range from about 3,200 to 4,000 square feet. And we're right now our initial estimates will be about, our outside sales prices will range between 1.3 to 1.5 million. The site was actually developed off of the R1 zoning conservation overlay. And what that does is basically helps to cluster so you don't disturb, the majority of the property. And in fact, 62% of the property is within open space. As far as access and flow, the residents will gain access off Valley Forge Road. They'll come down that boulevard entrance that'll be heavily landscaped. And the majority of the roads interior of the community will be two-way cartways, some with parking, some without on-street parking. And so they'll range from about 20 to 28 feet wide. We will have, at a minimum, off-street parking for each lot of 2 spaces. So, both between the houses themselves having parking, the streets, and additional places, they'll have room for guests is what I'm trying to get at. That's usually a high contention thing in developments. There's never anywhere for anybody to park when they have a party. So we're mindful of that, and we'll be incorporating that as we move through the land development process.
You said that most of the cartways are going to be two-way. Which won't be two-way?
So the boulevard entrance, that is a one-way in. You kind of see, if I go blown up, there's a one-way entrance going in, one-way entrance coming out. And it
Okay,
kind of separates.
separated by a
Yes.
median.
Yes,
Okay, but otherwise, all of these other roads are
two-way.
okay. 2 ways around the circle?
Yep.
Okay. And they are you're not seeking any sort of accommodation for a narrower cartway
No.
than what we would typically have in R1.
No, this is
Development.
all per zoning, yeah.
Okay. There's some examples in our township where they have very, very
Narrow.
narrow roads, and we hear about them.
Now, this is all per zoning. But what we kind of got out of, that past 6 and 8 months was the central green space, right? We want that to be a focal point. And I think we've done that pretty exceptional here. All roads kind of lead to it or, back to it from, the cul-de-sacs. And as you'll see, as we look further in the presentation, you'll kind of see our vision for the central green space. And lastly, as I know it's always an issue and will be a topic of discussion, buffering around neighboring properties. So as you can see on the site plan, we have, substantial buffers, even some that go above and beyond ordinance requirements. But I was talking with Tom, earlier today, and we think it would even, as an added measure for the neighbors, we would be willing to meet with them individually to go over their concerns and requirements that they would like to see adopted into the plan. And to our best of ability, we'll try to incorporate those. Next slide, please. So before I jump right into this one, I wanted to, again, thank you guys for, the process that we had to go through. It actually created something I couldn't even envision of being, the central green. And we really hope you like it. So what we tried to do is really incorporate the barn and the existing tenant house outline foundation, which will ultimately be that, along with, really try to drive home those two and create something functional around it. So with our planner, we've, added elements of an integrated trail network throughout the central green. We have large gathering open lawn spaces. We have a historical signage and reflection gardens to commemorate the history down here. We have a trellised seating area central to the green. And then it's all heavily landscaped, so it really creates a nice scene. All right, next slide, please.
So the one thing I don't see here is the wall that is to be around the barn. Am I missing where that is? I believe that
I thought it's all in there.
No, so the barn, the barnyard wall you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
So that, as a part of the, decision, we'll be working with Bob Wise.
Okay.
Part of that whole decision was whether or not it was going to be incorporated. It could be removed. But, obviously we're going to take our guidance from him.
Okay.
These drawings don't incorporate that. I would. Anybody else see that?
Wait, so what happened? Yeah, the building sold.
But what we did see, and you'll see the pictures. I don't know if you guys have access to them too, but as much as those walls, maybe could work, I think it really would take away from this space that we've kind of created. I know some of those walls, I don't know if you've been to the site, they're tall. So it feels more of like an enclosure for barnyard animals than it does like an inviting space. But we'll be talking with Bob White. This is by no means, final.
Okay, I just didn't recall our opinion having that much flexibility, and I'm pretty sure that we said the walls have to stay. So we'll have to revisit. Maybe I'll have to read that again.
Okay. So as you can see, there's multiple access points for all the residents within the community to gather, exercise, walk their dogs. So it's really like a nice space for them. Next slide. And we've also incorporated an at dusk image of the central green. So obviously with the help of the engineer, we'll make sure that all the lighting requirements for light pollution and safety requirements are actually incorporated as well. This is a depiction of that open lawn area. So you can see people gathering. You got the trellis area in the background and the pavilion. So it's, it feels warm and inviting. And so a part of that conditional use hearing, the existing tenant house and farmhouse, this is kind of how we envisioned it. They wanted keep the remainder of the foundation, but keep it safe, low walls. So this is kind of an accurate depiction of what this could look like. We've taken it a step further to see, okay, that's great, but could it be functional? And obviously we'll work with the Historical Commission on what they would like to do here. But we thought this was a nice adaptation to, boost the aesthetic and actually create, a more functional purpose for that area. And you also have the additional, historical plaque and signage that'll, commemorate the history of it. Again, the part of that application was the keeping of the barn, with the exception of non-historical, too fast, with the exception of the non-historical elements. So we'll be working with the Historical Commission along with the professional consultants that are experienced in barn preservation to come up with a plan for this and then implement. And then here are a few shots. So what this slide kind of shows is how we kind of bring everything together. How do you incorporate, places on trails, seating, hardscaping? So these are a few ideas of how we can incorporate the landscaping and seating throughout. I just think they look really nice and, inviting for people that want to, walk throughout the community and along the trails. And here's our construction entrance. This is our entrance monument to the community. So this will be off of Valley Forge Road. It's definitely grandiose with the, the arch. But we think that adds a nice element, especially when you consider that we could incorporate that arch into the proposed Freedom Trail extension. So it could be like a nice element as people walk through, the front of our community and up Valley Forge. And then
does Knoll reflect like any historical ownership? I'm sorry, I don't recall.
So Knoll Park was our intended name for the project. That's what we're running with for now. We haven't done a name search or anything like that just yet, but
it doesn't tie to any of the history of the site. It's just a name. Okay. Okay, but it doesn't tie to this site
specifically to the site, no.
All right. Thank you.
And the next image is a picture of it at dusk, so it kind of feels warm, inviting at all times during the day. And that's our presentation. So I really hope you liked it, and really open to honest opinions and questions, concerns.
Is there I know that there's some lots in here that cannot be built on because of the way that the pipelines are running. I see there's two sort of where they're kind of catty-cornered by the pipelines.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not proposing anything. I'm literally just asking questions. This is a historical structure. These are I presume you want these to be publicly dedicated roads. I think we talked about that. I don't remember. That's what I'm asking.
I think they were we could offer them for dedication.
Are you planning on offering them for dedication?
I don't think so.
No. I'm asking. I'm just wondering. So you have a historically significant resource here, and there's no way for anybody from the township to get here to see it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I presume you said there's some street parking, but how much street parking are you envisioning? Like there's going to be one, like there's enough frontage here for two.
It'll probably be at least another space per house. We haven't
Okay.
totally reflected it on the land development plan, but it'll be substantial. So those roads that kind of go down and end in the cul-de-sac,
Mm-hmm.
if they're a certain width, you can have parking along one side. So they're pretty long. You can kind of see how much you can fit on there.
Okay.
And
so,
we'll probably even entertain and look at certain areas within the development where we can kind of do like a pull-off parking spaces, so that it's, if parking was a little too far from this house, maybe we can incorporate 2 spots here or 2 spots there, so it's evenly distributed. Did that
Well, as it
answer your
looks-
question?
yes, and I am asking questions, not making suggestions,
Okay.
just to be clear.
I've got a question. As it looks now, it's a single access, only one
Single,
point of egress and ingress.
yes, correct. The boulevard entrances usually act as a safety measure. You know, if one's blocked off, you can access the other in an event of an emergency.
So I live off of 23 in a neighborhood that's a little bit farther past the reservoir. Moore Hall, for example, because of safety concerns, you can't make a left-hand turn at Moore Hall between, I think it's 8:30 in the morning until maybe 10:30 in the morning because of safety concerns. But the people in Moore Hall, they can access East Whitehorse and get out onto 23. Here you have one entrance. Have you done, are you at the point where you've done PennDOT studies to determine whether they're going to give you, they would give you light there?
We're in discussions with PennDOT. At this point, don't believe a light is warranted right there.
Have you traveled on that road during rush hour?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But I don't make the decision for PennDOT. But yes, we have engaged them preliminarily. And right now they're telling us that a light's certainly not warranted, but you know, left-hand turn lanes and widening of the street there would probably be likely.
So on the back of the property, closest to the railroad tracks, you have a conservation open space. How much of that is steep slopes? I know there's a big ravine that goes through there and some setbacks.
I would say
Is that buildable land or is that all?
it's constrained land. Yeah, there's definitely a ravine back there. As far as acreage, I want to say it's maybe 50% of that bigger green section. It really kind of like tails off and steep slopes right there. I think we have the calculation, but I can't recall.
So we're coming in as what we call a by right plan. We've taken your ordinances and we've asked our planners and our engineers to keep it legal.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You'll
I'll have to talk.
Yeah, you
into
got
the
to, you can pass the mic over to him if you want.
I can say what he said. What we have brought to you today is a by right plan. We've guided our planners and our engineers to devise a plan that conforms with your zoning, and that's what we are showing here tonight. In addition to the central green, which is
So when we talk
Different
about
issue.
the overlay, Paul, I don't know if you pulled the formula up on this. There's a certain amount that has to be set aside. Is that what this is playing into based on that formula?
Correct.
And that's of the buildable land.
Correct. Yes. There's so there was a sketch plan that was submitted originally, which we have reviewed. The township is in receipt of this plan as well as a sketch. I have not gotten an opportunity to review it, but you are right, Bob. It's still going to have to go through the process of you pull out the areas, then it goes to the constrained lands, then there's areas left over, and then contingent on certain aspects of the property. Then the lot sizes and things like that can go through it. So this application will go through this, as far as the sketch plan, will go through the same review that we've done previously on the first sketch.
But this, you're taking what we call the growing greener overlay and saying, okay, you've done the math to say all this buildable land that's prime land is set aside of the remaining piece we're going to build based on that formula of the higher yield, or
Correct. No
smaller.
constrained land can be utilized or can be used for the development. So.
Right. Okay. So you're going to review all that and come back and give us your thoughts on this.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And that's going to weigh in a lot to obviously where we stand.
Yeah, the previous sketch plan, while different in certain aspects, largely kind of conforms to the same outline that you see today. I'm sure the calculation will change, minimally, but we look forward to that as well.
I'm going to come off as trail obsessed in this public meeting, but we had a comprehensive vision of trails in our township, and the Freedom Valley Trail would go along the back of that parcel, adjacent to the railroad tracks. Have you incorporated dedicated trail easements in your developments with townships? Is that something that you have experience doing, would be receptive to, hypothetically speaking?
Yes, definitely. We have done that on a number of occasions, and we are open to it. We'll just have to see how that kind of works. And back to your point about, whether these streets are publicly dedicated or not. When you have public access coming into private streets, creates a little bit of a nuisance and hiccup. So we have to be mindful of that as we move along. But yes, we are open to trails. I did mention that, the Freedom Trail up in the front, but we'll probably be incorporating trails throughout the site as well.
I've got a question on the lowest part of the property. It borders McKinney Lane. Is there an easement going to that lane if you chose to use it for another access point? And is that possible? I don't know if it is or isn't.
There's a few possible options.
Where does that?
I believe that is a private road. Yes.
So
the Girl Scouts of America, on a previous adaptation of plans, they had an emergency access easement going from our property to their property. There was one discussed at Flintlock Lane as an emergency access. So there's optionality there. But for right now, we've kind of blown up the front entrance to kind of create that boulevard for safety measures.
have you taken a look around the township to see if there's any other existing developments that have this many units with a single ingress and egress?
In this township specifically, no. In others, yes.
Any other questions?
Just from a process standpoint, this is a sketch, are you intending to take this sketch to the planning commission, or are you going to go to the neighbors next, and some of them I think are here, to start to have those discussions with them, or are you submitting prelim?
I think it's going to be simultaneous. I'm going to be meeting with neighbors. We'll be working on the plan. We'll actually be working on the preservation plan as well. So there's a number of different things that have to happen before we submit land development.
And for those in the audience, do you have a rough expectation as to when those would be submitted?
Land development, I would say more than 60 days, probably closer to 90 days.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Tom Bentley, nice to meet you. So when we first went through the whole barn thing with you guys, I was a little upset about it, and we've embraced it. We're going to spend a lot of money on the central green, and we think that is the crown jewel of this development, and we'd really like your support for that central green. It can be really, really nice. It could be like nothing that we've ever done before. It's perfectly situated in the middle of the development. Everybody gets to look at it. You got the barn, you got like the common areas, and we just think it's a real benefit to the future residents. So the walls, I know that's like a thing with the walls. I don't see how that adds to my future residents. I don't see how that gives them any benefit. To me, it would be a place where a kid could climb up and fall, 12 feet, hurt himself. So, just my thoughts. But I think the central green is something, I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, it's really nice. And the barn, well, it's going to be nice and white and, red door, brown door, whatever. It's just going to look really neat. So we just want your support for the central green, that's all.
I'm sure this was discussed, but the maintenance of this area would be covered by an HOA. I imagine but the residents would pay. There'd be no financial burden on the township to take care of that area, I presume.
Yes.
And this would be HOA restricted property, so only residents of this neighborhood would be allowed to be on the property, or is there going to be accommodation made for the historical resource?
So there's a preservation
question.
easement that was part of the decision. But the ongoing maintenance for everything in the community is part of the HOA.
No, I mean access.
Like if I wanted to go.
I live down the street. If I drove there, parked on the publicly dedicated streets and walked to that barn, and could someone from the neighborhood HOA say, please get off our lawn?
That's where I said it gets kind of tricky and how we have to approach, the publicly dedicated streets versus not.
Yeah, something to think about.
I mean, would the township be open to dedicated the streets?
I would have to talk about it.
Yeah.
I know. There's a lot of pros and cons to that, and I think we're going to punt that one until a later date and talk to you about it after
we're
Paul
not-
gets
no
his
commitments.
reviews going. And
Have you
I
given
think
thought to how would the barn just be more of a aesthetic feature, or is there a functional use to it?
Currently, it's an aesthetic feature.
Yeah.
As we get into it, maybe there's avenues for something, but right now it's a different animal inside.
Oh, they're not flat.
I think they're skewed. They're not strictly.
We did bring up the whole historic structure, private road thing during all the historic meetings. And we said, we're preserving this barn, but nobody's going to be able to see it because they're private roads. But if you'd like to have public roads, that'd be fine with us.
we'll circle back on that one with you.
And say, just to be
Okay.
clear, that was not a
Yeah.
decision.
There was no nod of yay or nay on that one. There's discussion to be had in the future. Yeah.
Almost got.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys seeing us tonight.
Well, thanks. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions? Any questions from anybody in the public?
We were both discussing, I apologize. We were trying to figure out, looking at that, actually at that drawing, where those walls are. The barnyard walls. No?
No, Tom's right.
We couldn't figure it out
I think
either, so-
it's, yeah, the low side had the walls in the back. Let me see. Existing barn. Yeah, the barns, if you look at the slide before that, where it says entry monument, walls would have come out that way toward us from there.
You can go to the picture of the front of the barn.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, so that's. Yeah, so here would be the walls.
Okay.
All right.
Just one last question. This is a very heavily landscaped piece of property, and there's a lot of maintenance that needs to be done with the barn. you know, living in a neighborhood that has an HOA, me having been on my HOA board, it was fun. Do you typically retain like a professionally managed HOA
Property manager.
property manager for this? Because this is not like people, you know,
Yes.
voting on
This would
how
be-
they're going to maintain this. No, I'm just. Yeah, I mean, this is intensive
Yeah.
landscaping.
We would have a professional property manager.
And we've been doing that for 50 years.
Okay.
Since they invented HOA.
Okay.
Some
Right.
better than others.
Any questions from the public? Yes.
Good evening, John Moraz, Meadowbrook Lane. I'm not near the development, but it's a nice development. My question, and correct me, if it's not dedicated streets, school buses would not be allowed to be going into that development, correct? So the safety feature involved on 23 there would be very, very tough for schools. In addition, I saw, are there going to be sidewalks on both sides of the houses? For example, both sides of the road, okay. Because some of the developments right now in the township only had sidewalks on one part of the road. And I'm concerned, even though I'm not going to be living there, but one access. You know, I know the boulevard entrance is somewhere in the township, but one access point, you know, I'm not the fireman, I'm not the police officer. If there's a problem on 23 there, how are you going to get emergency vehicles back there? So I think that's a big concern for this township. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Anybody else? Yes. Oh.
Ann Lincoln, EAC member. I've got a question though, for the back open space that you're leaving untouched. Is the HOA going to take care of that at all, or are you just going to kind of let it go wild?
I mean, that's natural space, so if there's portions of it that need addressing, like fallen trees, things like that. Yes.
So fallen trees, I'm not too concerned with. It's more like when we get invasive species come in. So I know where it's on some of our other township properties, we're really battling some of these mile-minute weed. I mean, we every once in a while we go out and we kind of get we try to clear some of these things out. So could the HOA also consider management of that area so that we don't kind of have and if there's invasive species there, they get kind of deposited all over the place? Just. Well, I have no concern of any of the rest of it right now. I'm just, but just something to think about.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Anita Schmidt. Beautiful homes. But I have the same concerns that I've heard voiced already here. And the first one was traffic. There's a staggering amount of traffic that I see on 23, and it's not just the volume. It's the length of time that I now see the congestion. So I'm not sure exactly where this entrance is, opposite Ferry Lane Country Club. There's a light there that backs up tremendously. I have concerns about potentially 100 cars coming on a 2-lane road. So I think that needs further discussion and consideration. Also the impact of the number of children that are going to be coming to local schools, obviously, fire, police, all of those concerns. And I think that archway, and just my personal view, it's a little much on 23. Maybe you could tone it down just a little bit, okay?
So,
Just to fit it in.
yeah, so all of those things are going to be researched and reviewed with engineering and discussed quite a bit between now and before anything happens with regards to health and safety, traffic, sidewalks, streets, all that will be coming down the road. So stay tuned and keep coming. All right, any other questions? All right, thank you for coming in. We appreciate it. All right, next on the list. Oh, I will make a motion to approve the amended agreement of sale for fee simple acquisition of 1600 Valley Forge Road, UPI number 27-6-0105. Laurie.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. A second? We got a second. All right, now Laurie.
So this is for the open space acquisition that the township has been working on that the board authorized a few months ago at a board meeting. We've been going through the due diligence process and completed the phase 1 environmental assessment, which came back clean, so no environmental concerns on the property. There was, however, some debris left on the property that requires cleanup. So the township's attorneys have negotiated with the seller a reduction in price of $5,000 that we believe will cover the cost of that cleanup on the property.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
Nope.
Yes.
Karen Hilliard, 920 Valley Forge Road, and also EAC member. I was just curious what the plan was for the like. What is the purpose of purchasing it? I'm just.
So I'll let you go. I was going to say, when the property was available, we looked at buying it to obviously prevent development on it, with the option, if we wanted to either keep it as a preserve or to subdivide and sell. But in doing that, we'd control, how much could go on it, if anything goes on it, but yet to be determined.
I think I understand where the property is, like Valley.
Directly across from Freedom Foundation or Founding Forward.
Okay, so when you're dropping 23 towards Valley Forge Park, on the right-hand side, all that area that's wooded. Yeah, that's that. Okay, and how buildable is how much?
The
of it is
top
buildable?
portion of it had a big flat area. Then it as it goes down to the point of the triangle, that's a steep slope with some wetlands at the bottom.
I was just curious. Okay.
Yeah. Backs up to Sunwood, I think a good bit of it. Is that Sunwood or what's the other one back there? Yeah, Valley Park on one side, Sunwood neighborhood on the other, and 23 on the other. So, okay, we have a motion, a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, I'll make a motion that we amend the Saldo section 320-22 regarding minimum access. Lori, I'll let you explain that.
The motion is just. So this item, we discussed this proposed ordinance previously, and we've sent it to the Planning Commission, the Phoenixville Regional Planning Commission, and it's also pending Chester County Planning Commission review. It's been completed, but I have not received the review back yet. So the first motion here is just to discuss scheduling and advertising the public hearing that's required for the ordinance, and that proposed date is August 10th. At 7 p.m. And then the second motion would be to authorize us to advertise the ordinance itself for update.
So can I lump those two together and make one motion that we advertise and I'll stick with the first.
Yeah.
All right. I will make a motion. I'll revise that for the authorization to advertise for the public hearing Monday, August 10th, 2026 at 7 o'clock for consideration of amended to the subdivision and land development ordinance section 320-22. Do I hear something?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, for the second motion, I'll make a motion that for the authorization to advertise ordinance number 2026-02, amendment subdivision and land development ordinance section 320-22.
Second.
The only thing I will mention on that is with the caveat that if the Chester County Planning Commission review comes back as anything other than clean, I'll say, we're going to wait for that review to come back before we advertise it. So this just simply gives us the authorization.
So this is
assuming that comes
conditioned
back
upon.
okay. Yeah, I think it will. But
All right, we have a
I
motion
don't
and
have it in hand
second.
yet.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Discussion of deer management. I see Steve is here tonight. And Lori, I'm going to let you kick this one off of where we are. Everybody, I think, saw the example of an agreement that went around. I think there's a few revisions that need to be made on that. And go ahead.
Yeah, so the intention of this item being on the agenda tonight is kind of to follow up on our previous discussions and get direction on the board as to if you're ready to make a decision on the next steps as far as deer management goes. Staff have investigated the questions that have been posed before, which was whether or not we would have any issues with our insurance policy. The answer to that is no, provided that the preference is that we contract with an organization and not just allow for public hunting. And
Could you expand on that? I'm sorry, Lori. So if we were to allow recreational hunting, our insurers would have a concern?
there would be a concern.
There would be a concern. Okay. Does concern translate into they would charge us more money?
It may involve us being charged more money. We
Okay.
would not be charged more money if we contract with an
Okay, so
organization.
I just want to know, like, actually, you know, what the impact is. So
Yes.
they would not charge us more money on our premiums if we do this managed hunting, but it's possible that they would charge us more if we were to allow recreational hunting.
Correct.
But we don't know that for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Because that's not the avenue that we were investigating.
Sure.
But
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I'm clear.
Yep, that's correct. So I did request a sample copy of an agreement that Chester Valley Deer Management Association uses in other townships, which I circulated previously. Mike has looked at it.
Is that in our work session for today? Or
Yeah.
it is? Sorry, I overlooked it.
Under old business.
And I think the EAC came in with no objections.
They did go
Or no
before
opinion.
they did go before the EAC, and the EAC did not take a position on it.
So I think what's challenging for me is that, and I look back at the minutes, and I guess it wasn't last meeting, but maybe it was the meeting before. Maybe it was one of the workshop meetings when we had the BioBlitz folks come in here. And I thought that EAC was going to tell us whether they wanted us to hold this off on this for a year pending them doing these biological assessments. So I'm not like disappointed that the EAC didn't give us some direction, but I feel like it's more challenging now for me to make a decision because they just said nothing. The EAC didn't give us any guidance whatsoever. Not let us do 3 biological assessments before you do it. There's nothing. We have no guidance. I'm just making a comment.
The first BioBlitz is also scheduled for this weekend.
Yeah.
This weekend, and then deer hunting season doesn't start for several months. So there's also that going on. We can get 2, maybe 3 rounds in before that happens, regardless.
Challenge you have with the couple months we have before deer season starts, if we're going to do something, this would be the time to give them time to set up and get ready.
Yeah, I'm inclined to give the green light, and I think as was explained or presented, it's not something that it's not like a one season, kind of operation or the impact of it. It's something it's kind of done a little more nuanced or more subtly over time to see, but I think the residents that have expressed interest in it or desire for it or concern for it are looking, for some response to that. And I think that it's almost like the ideal program because it's private organization with high credibility and working with private resident landowners or property owners. And we stay out of the deer management business. That's, we've just facilitated, but we stay kind of out of the operational aspects of it and let that happen between, the Chester Valley group and those that are seeking assistance with it. That's my feeling.
On top of that, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, 23 Valley Park, they're 2 of the main roads. That's probably where most of the deer-related accidents and incidents are, right? Whitehorse as well, yeah. So there's township properties where we can be involved and say, let's get started with what we have. We can follow the program of posting it on our website. This is who we use, and we vet it. I don't know how far we go into that. But I like the idea of getting started sooner than later because it's not getting any better. And I do have concerns with health and safety. And I think it's a humane thing to do, to offer a predator where there was one and we took it away. We need to balance out nature again or do our part. So if we wanted to go forward, what would the next steps be we have the sample agreement. I know you said there may be a few tweaks to that. Is there anything, Mike, that you saw in there that stands out?
No, it's really just finalizing that with the association and getting that ready for the board to approve it or August meeting.
So are we talking a lot of major changes or anything? What stands out is that, and I'm wondering if there's any tweaking we do now with Steve here.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, or we might do that instead of
Want to grab a mic?
So we've gone through that agreement with other townships
pretty extensively. So, I mean, I'm happy to adjust, amend, whatever it may be. If you have things that you want to clear tonight with me being here with questions, I'm not looking to take up any more of your time either. I get that, but if there's little things that you want to just say, hey, get clarification, I'm happy to provide it.
I mean,
If you weren't ready for that either, then don't worry about it.
Yeah, my preference would be that if we are going to approve it, we approve it contingent on our, coming to an acceptable agreement that we would then present at our next Board of Supervisors meeting, and we'd be voting on that
And that's how it's worked in the past.
agreement.
Right, yeah,
So
we're gonna
it's been
need that
approved by the board.
general direction, but we need to finalize it in August to fully approve it, because we need signatures on documents.
So if the board, if you want to give me direction to work with Mike, and we'll finalize the agreement between now and the August 10th board meeting, and August 10th will be the formal vote on the contract. That way you can see the contract in final form before you agree to it. But if you want to give me direction, like which parcels specifically do you want to see included? Is it just Sedgley Farm? Is it Sedgley and Pickering? Is it also Valley Park?
And now the new piece on 23. That's loaded with deer down there. It's actually
I would want to start, me personally, I would want to start slow with one piece of property.
Any reason why?
To try this out. I'm not new, I'm new to this. I'd like to have one piece of property. Are you not, would you not?
Yeah, I
be
think
willing-
that just, again, kind of what I started with this whole conversation. There has to be buy-in on the township level. And we have done this in other townships. It's been effective. The way that this is efficient and effective is to gain as much access to property as possible. I'm not here to say if that's the way you want to go, that's completely up to you. But the effectiveness of what it is we're trying to do is going to be minimal, because once you start harding a piece of property, the deer are just going to leave and go somewhere else. So that's why I kind of always say this is something that needs to be built upon every year, grown, and then, if you have issues with things that we are doing, I'm happy to talk through them. I'm happy to adjust. I'm happy to adjust on the fly, whatever it may be. But if my preference would be that if you're going to do it, if there's township property that's huntable, just open it up to the township property that's huntable and see how it works. You have no control outside of what it is that the township owns, right? So, the important part is going to be how do we get onto other private pieces of property to help this thing grow, right? Because if you just manage 2 or 3 properties,
100%. And I think what you just said is you'd like to see this grow over time. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't grow over time. What I'm saying is my initial comfort level would be to try to start it with one of our properties.
Well, I guess just to play devil's advocate here, by authorizing a larger number of properties, but then saying stop this property 30 days from now because we get a complaint or something, we're not prohibited from doing that.
I kind of look at it there's 4 properties, right?
Four primary properties.
4
I would say,
primaries,
right?
okay, and two of them, one of them is the one we're acquiring. There's no human, nobody is on that property ever, right? Once we own it. And the same with Sedgley Farm, other than the residents that live back there.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be on their property, but yeah.
But generally, these are not, there's no residents, visiting these properties. I don't really see why you would prevent the group from at least those 2.
it's only 4. Yeah, it's only 4 properties. Typically you've done with Upper Marion, I think it's like 7, 8, 9 different properties. Different's got 9 properties.
No, and I get what you're saying as far as the buy-in to get the momentum. The more we give, the more
That's how it grows.
folks you're going to have a sign that you can get them out signing other properties. And if I were to look at what I think makes the most sense, like you were saying, the what do we call the new property? We don't have a name for it across from the Freedom Foundation, 1600.
And that one, I would just say, I don't think that should be added. Mike can correct me, but I would wait until we formally own that.
Yeah, we could. When will the actual formal closing be?
We don't know
looking
yet,
at
so
August,
I would
right?
say, tentatively, but we don't know yet.
Tentatively August, so that may be rolled in later. But if we had that,
that's right.
Like John was saying, what I look at is the properties that are going to produce the most would probably be the Sedgley and the piece down on 23, 1600. The Pickering Preserve and the Valley Park are smaller pieces. They may be something that we have to create a hybrid, a time where that's open to the public, but we lock it out certain days and have that be a little bit more restricted. But yeah, those two properties I think are prime. We don't own it yet, but contingent upon
And I think
the
Danielle-
closing.
So which two properties?
So
we're
the
talking
two
about?
properties that are going to produce the most would be the one down on 23, the triangular piece that we talked about earlier, and the Sedgley.
Yes, but we
The-
just said that Lori's
Right.
not recommending
We
that we
don't-
do that.
exactly.
So let's
We
just
don't
talk
have-
about what
we
we're
don't
going to
have
do
that
this
yet.
year. Let's just talk about this year.
Now,
We can always amend an
we
agreement.
can certainly do that this year once the closing happens, but I'm
You can
saying
always
if,
add an amendment to the agreement
Right.
that would include the park,
so
whatever.
I would say that Sedgley, the Pickering Preserve and Valley Park, but Valley Park especially may have to have a time allotted. You know, you've seen different parks where you have X amount of time, it's off limits, it's taped off their hunting days, whether it's, you know, Monday through Friday or whatever, weekends, Sundays, whatever it is.
Yeah,
So
and I, to your point, I understand what you're saying, but the other way to look at it is, you know, give this group who has a track record, and I feel, you know, confident that you know how to do it and what you're doing. Give them the benefit of the doubt and give them the access and work in a reasonable way on when it's available, and then see what, you know, if there's some type of complaint, blowback, or issue that arises. But by kind of constricting them, you're not, you know, that's a safe approach, but I'm not sure it, you know, accomplishes anything really. It doesn't accomplish, I think, what the residents at large are looking for.
Well, it's going to give people confidence that we're doing this in a measured way and we're being prudent about it. Right now, this is a piece of property that nobody can access, 64 acres, nobody can access it. Valley Park is a public park. So why would we just jump in and lump all of the
Well,
properties that we own the first year? I'm not saying, guys, that we don't do this.
Well,
I'm just saying, why are we jumping in all of our township properties the very first year that we start this
Well,
experiment?
I don't think we jump in full bore with every property having full access nonstop all the time. I think we shape it and say, hey, the ones that we know we don't have structures on, we don't have trails on, we don't have access to, they're prime. Valley Park's a different story. Pickering Preserve, maybe we rope off the bottom half and say, hey, that's where all the deer are. That's where
I mean,
the
and
hunting's
that's
gonna be.
part of our job too, is to do this in a discreet manner, right? So to find areas within the parks that we can hunt effectively where we're not in the public eye. I mean, that's part of what it is that we try to do as well, right? So that's on us. We're not just going to jump in there and be on a trail with a tree stand where people are walking underneath us. Doesn't do us any good, doesn't do you any good, and it won't certainly help our hunting, right? So that's part of the process of the sooner we can get the approval, we can begin our research, right? Where do we want to set up? Where shouldn't we? How can we get in? How can we get out? Where can we park, right? That's all part of this. And that's all stuff that I would think ultimately I would want approval from you. They're like, okay, here's where our stands are going to be. Here's where we're going to park. Here's how we're going to access. But that's all part of the process. And step one would be going, hey, okay, we have enough trust, hopefully, in what it is you've heard from me and in myself, to say, you're talking 2-3 properties. I mean, that's not something that, like, you know, it's not hard to control, is what I'm getting at.
I want to set you up for success, right? I would love to be in this seat a year from now telling our residents, look, we did this last year on this property. It worked great. 0 incidents, 0 deer going off. This is something that we can replicate now on another piece of property. But we don't have a Parks and Recreation department. So you are going to have, when we're talking about roping off certain areas on active parks, whether it's the Pickering Preserve or whether it's the Valley Park, there is someone who internally at the township who has to coordinate that, who will have to be the liaison with this group. Who is that person? Is it Lori? Is it Valentina? We do not have a body to do that. So it's additional work for a resource-constrained township. And I just think that we're going to do this. I'm not opposed to it. Let's start with one piece of property that we know nobody's going to go on. Nobody should be on.
So if the board identified 1 or 2 properties right now that they're willing to consider this on, would you go out and do exactly what you just suggested that you would do? Put a proposal together, bring it back to the board to consider.
Yeah.
That way they can see what you're thinking of. Here's when we'll access it. Here's what this will look like, and that can be incorporated then into the final version of the agreement if they like it.
If that's the way
But like, why not just have them do that for all 4? like if it's just a review of where when and how and where it would occur, why would we not want that for all four? What's that?
Valley is really small. Valley Park is really
Valley
small.
Park's a 17-acre piece. The upper end, where there is a little bit of trails, has a ton of activity up there.
Deer activity, that
Oh,
is?
God, yeah. Yeah, we used to crush them there.
Yeah, if you want him to go look
Back
at
in the
all-
days when I used to do what you did.
It's not going to offer.
I am not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to your group doing the legwork and developing a plan that we can then consider at
I think
another
that's-
meeting.
that's fair.
I'm not opposed to that.
Uh-oh, my mic's kicking. If the board's not opposed, I'd be happy to meet with you and walk some of these and bring somebody else from the township if we want, just give you the lay of the land. Because I did what you're doing 30 years ago here.
Yeah, no, I am appreciative of any help. I'm happy to put together a plan. I personally would like to see it on all four, just to give it to you and be like, you know what, it makes sense. You go, you know what, it doesn't make sense. Then we got to take a step back and we can always adjust. But the fact of the matter is, you know, it does only seem like it's July 13th, but a month now it's August. A month from that it's deer season, and there's a lot that needs to go into what it is that we do to be properly prepared to go into it. And that's all I'm saying. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But it's just the sooner we could get the, hey, you know what, this is the way we're going. Let's start putting together a plan. Let's just do it. Like that's.
Let me ask you this question. So if we were to take, and it sounds like the tide is against me on this one, but
There's no tide. We're all here to work together.
If we were to take the what I would call my measured approach, would you not be interested in starting to work with our township if we
No,
were
I'm
to
not saying
say,
that.
if we were to say, we're going to start off with a 64-acre piece of property and then we're going to kind of see how that goes?
No, but then you'd also have to have trust in me that everyone keeps asking me about how many members you're going to bring in. We want to bring in people within the township. Well, if we're only getting one property,
No, I understand
I
that.
don't need to.
But you wouldn't be saying,
No,
no, 64
absolutely not.
acres, I'm walking away. I'm going to go
I'm not,
back to different.
I'm indebted to this. I mean, I've said in the past, I enjoy this part of it, right? This is part of
Mhm.
what it is we do. I've been doing it for 20 plus years.
Mhm.
I would not just walk away. I mean, unless it got to the point where it was like, all right, now you're creating a headache for me and I'm creating a headache for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, that would be a mutually, hey, this isn't going to work type deal. But again, this is a privilege, not a right.
Yeah.
So that's how I always approach it. And if that's how you want to start, then that's how you want to start. But that's up to you.
Yeah, I support the, all these properties, we're a pretty compact township, just geographically. They're really, pretty close to one another. Like, two of them are, within half a mile of here. And the other, so I think the idea of just having a full overview is great for you.
And the other part would be that, let's just say we ultimately do decide just to hunt on one piece of property. One thing I would like to discuss would be, okay, kind of what Bob said, this is the group that we've chosen to start a deer management program with, so that if private people do call in, you have someone to say, hey, listen, this is the group we've vetted. It's up to you. You can call them and they can come assess your property to see if it's something that can be done on your property. Because like I've said, there's township parks that we hunt that are like 4 acres, right? But they're 4 acres that are surrounded by additional land that kind of gives us the opportunity to go in and hunt. Okay, so that would be the other thing is, all right, if you're not, wanting to move forward as far as the township-owned land, which is the only thing you guys can really control, right, and give me access to, but then you kind of say, I'm sure there's people that have been calling in and saying, I've heard about this, what's going on? I own 6 acres here, I own 2 acres here. You say, listen, this is the group that we've decided to move forward with. If you want to speak with them, here's a number to call. And that's how it would grow outside of just the 4 properties we're talking about.
I mean, I'd be fine tomorrow if we put on the township website that this is a resource that our residents can avail themselves of for their private property. So that, for me, that's not even an issue to discuss. But I feel like I'm fighting a fight that's maybe not my battle. So, Lori, I'm presuming I'm presuming, Lori and Valentina, this is going to take your time, and that's what I'm a little bit concerned about, because we do not have somebody who manages our township properties, and maybe that will change one day, but that's the way it is today. We don't. And so, do you have concerns about the amount of time that it will take for you to do this?
If we're talking restricting certain hours, closing the park off at certain, those presumably would not be during regular business hours. when I have staff easily accessible here to go and throw up signage and barricades. So yeah, that would be a challenge for me. However, it would be, best case scenario for me would be for you to put together how each of these properties, you view them being hunted, so that I can then look at that and make a determination on what kind of staff impact it's going to take.
We're not looking to eat into anyone's time. I think that was part of what I was trying to say the first time I was here. Push it on us. You don't want to manage 3,500.
No, I think we're thinking more of the potential conflict between hunters and public passive users.
There's one
So
park in
that's the
particular
concern.
that has trails. It's very small. A lot of deer, but it's small, and that's the one where I'm thinking the right
Valley
thing to
Park.
do would
And
be
again, are there
X
places
days
we can
per
help
year.
us?
Pickering also
We
has
put a
public
yellow
trails,
tape
though.
across the entrance of the parking lot and just say, hey, closed off X hours.
Yep.
Pickering Preserve
Pickering
might
also
be
has
something
trails.
where we actually post down the middle of the property and just say, managed hunters. And here we have that up in Bertrandville, where we have properties that just put signs up and say, these hours managed hunts, unfolding. Yeah, but that's a one-time deal where you put the sign up once. It's not you go up and take it down and go up and take it down. So that's a little easier.
I think some sort of signage, obviously saying, hey, this park is under controlled deer management from September 16th through January 24th, right? Some sort of signage just so people that are coming through understand that, hey, and like the conservancies that we work in and that we hunt in currently, that's what we do. We have that sign up where people that are actively using the trails. And the people, for the most part, stay on the trails, which is not where we're going to be hunting, right? So the issue sometimes is dogs, right? So sometimes, which they probably should have on a leash, get off. But I'm just saying, most of our hunting and most of the time when we're hunting, we're not hunting next to a trail where people are going to see us.
No.
I don't want people to see me.
Yeah.
I don't want people to know what we're doing.
I'll share from experience. I've had a ton of dogs underneath me and kids and people walking through, and they never see you. Well, 99% of the time, but you hang your bow up and you let them go and do their thing. And that's usually not the same time that the deer are coming through.
That's
anyway.
on us to develop a plan for each individual park that is approved by you, that'll essentially try to, improve and build on the program that we're trying to implement, right? That's going to make our program as successful as we can. And that's just something that I would have to come up with and you approve. And then if you don't approve it, we work together.
So there's two parts of this then. I guess the bulk, the body of the agreement, and then addendum A, which is properties, which you're going to put together a little bit of a management plan. If the board's okay with it.
Property's already in, there's a chart in the agreement waiting for that to be built.
Okay. So that's the part where we need.
Yeah, but I think
Steve
that
should come out.
what he's suggesting is a little bit more detailed in terms of like actually showing how he would manage.
That's the.
We could fold that into the.
Yeah.
We should fold that into the agreement.
Yeah, I think you can have the contract that says we authorize this group and all the guidelines that are in that contract, and then we come up with a plan that's separate from that. That's part of, even if you want to add something that says, agreed upon between township and association, that we're gonna come up with a game plan, for lack of a better word, right? So
All right. So what actions do we need to take right now to keep this moving forward? Mike, you can start reviewing the body of the agreement that he gave as a sample.
We've already reviewed it. We would just need that plan from them so we can then fold it in.
Okay.
So we
would have to authorize.
right now, I think what the board needs to do is give him direction on which parcels you want him to go create a plan for, to present to the township, to be considered to be incorporated into an agreement for a potential vote.
I would lean toward all four, contingent upon getting a quick walkthrough to see. You may say, you know what, no way.
When you
Just
say-
these three or.
Which four are you?
Well, the four being Sedgley. We can't say number 1,600 yet, so I'll leave that. I'll say three. That one can be added. Pickering Preserve and Valley Park. And I think you may not want Valley Park. I don't know. You have to take a look and talk about a plan of how to sign that off. And I think it's doable, but you may
I'm
see it
okay with
differently.
giving that direction because at the end of the day, we can vote at the next meeting if we look at these. And it's not a commitment.
Yeah, we
It's
can
not a
always,
commitment to vote.
we can always adjust. Yeah, if we're getting complaints, we have an issue, we have somebody that's just really
can we
raising hell with us, we can.
Can we have some sort of vote that you're going to at least use my group so that if people do call in,
Oh,
we
yeah.
can start building it from that standpoint. That if
Oh, I
private residents
think
reach out,
that's,
that you have somebody
yeah, for
that,
the long-term success, I think that's
We are
critical.
Just so I get
we,
some-
we
Yeah.
are not having separate meetings with another managed hunting.
I know, but I'm just
You
saying,
gotta-
like, just so that if people call in, we can start building that side of the program as well. Like, I get we can wait on what it is you guys ultimately decide as far as township parks go, but just so I guess I know that we have some commitment from you and you have some commitment from me, and we're just moving together.
Well,
I agree.
So here's
Yeah. Or
something.
together.
So right now we could tell Lori, can you just put on the website that this is a hunting group that is available to township residents, if that's what you're looking for.
And something
But if
similar to
if
what you
want
have in
us
these-
to say this is the hunting group that we use, I think you have to wait for us to.
No, I think
execute
it
that
would just
agreement.
be something that we as a board have vetted this group, and if you have a deer management issue on your private piece of property, here's a number to call, and that's it.
Do you have an
no
example
other say
of a
in it.
township that's done that we can
Sure.
cut and
You
paste?
can go into different townships deer management site, and my name and number is there.
Let's take a look at how they did what they did, maybe craft something similar.
It's just in separate links on the website.
The language is important.
Yeah, that I'm not part of the town. I'm not associated with the township. I'm not being paid by the township. I'm not,
Right.
I'm not an agent of the township. I'm not saying that. We are not an agent of the township, I should say. Sure, everyone got their fill of deer management tonight.
Can I just give a quick comment?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, sorry. Right, Ann Lincoln, EAC again. Unfortunately, I was not at the last EAC meeting, when they discussed it, so I can't really speak. Karen probably could. But I am on the Sedgley working group, and we're having the Bio Blitz this weekend. So this past week, myself and two of our other Sedgley group walked the perimeter of Sedgley to kind of tag out where the perimeter was for in advance. And just anecdotally, we walked the entire property, and we did not see a problem with deer over browsing. You would normally see that. You've seen it in Valley Forge, but we didn't see that back there. So whether or not, I mean, that's just anecdotal at this point. I know that that's the reason why they call down at the national park, but that's kind of where we are right now. Also, I spoke to the owner of the house that's kind of in that back area, just to get an idea of like what he's seen for deer. And he said, yeah, he's seen like 30, 40 deer back there. And he said they just all wander around. When we were there, we saw 3, but regardless, they go everywhere. He said that since the previous owners had stopped feeding and culling the deer, because the previous owners had someone that was doing the same type of thing, the deer have come back. And he's also seen the coyotes come back. So the predators are there. And really, if you're looking at kind of trying to keep the deer out of the rest of the township, they're there and they're safe. So just something to see that you might, like, I don't know how this will go eventually, but maybe they are all just right there kind of seeing that, we're here and no one's bothering us. So let's stay here and not go off into the streets. But all of that, we can't know unless we kind of get an idea what's going on that property. So we're doing these bio blitzes. We really want to do a bio blitz every 2 to 3 months. It's to kind of because it's a huge property. There's a lot going on back there, and it is constantly changing. So for EACs and also for the Sedgley working group, I do ask if you could possibly just hold on the Sedgley property for 1 year so we can get our baseline. And in the meantime, we'll also work with the Game Commission to kind of get an idea to see if we can estimate how many there are there. There are ways to do that. I know that, the groups don't do that part. But I think we could get an estimate and kind of start tracking so we could see how the culling will kind of impact all of that.
So is this the EAC's voice speaking or your personal?
This is my personal voice and also the voice of the Sedgley Working Group, which is made up of the EAC members.
My concern is it only takes one accident. And if we know we're hearing 30 and 40 from somebody that's back there, that's the carrying capacity of that property is a small, tiny fraction of that. And it has become a sanctuary because it's not being hit, and the neighboring property, the Kovalovich also. the amount of deer that are running back and forth through there. John, you probably see it. You're bordering that property. You see it. And what's happening is if you don't have managed deer, if you don't have a deer management group, you have others that will be in there. And I've seen it, Steve, you've seen it many times. You go in, you start working on a property, you find other tree stands, you find guys, and you have to, the uncomfortable position of saying, hey, you know, we're legal, you're not, you got to go. And it's a shame, but it happens. And I'd rather have it be controlled than have people in there that aren't allowed to be there. And they will be.
Don't bring them on. I'm just saying, give us 1 year. Give us one season. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah.
And then, you know, next fall, you could bring, like, after we kind of get a really good baseline ecologically of what is happening in that land, in that area, so that we can better manage it. Because when it comes down to an EAC,
over the 1 year period?
Excuse me?
What would be proven over the 1 year period that would make you say go for it or don't go for it?
Because it's the deer management, especially with the feeding.
There wasn't feeding back there that I know of.
Yes, there was.
Oh,
there
in
were,
the front with
there was definitely baiting.
yeah, there were two. There was a cop up
they
front.
will,
yeah.
and you will be baiting, correct? And they
Yeah.
will be baiting. It
But
that does not just affect the
was
deer. That affects
4 years
really
ago?
the entire ecology of that entire area.
I mean, if it was having an issue, they wouldn't allow it. They wouldn't allow it.
I'm not getting into the discussion on the.
Well,
Nita, you had something to say. Why don't you come on up?
I don't. You got a long night ahead of you still. I don't want to
Yeah.
keep this like having to keep rehashing this. I just want on the record that that this is what we're just asking. We're asking for one season, and I fully understand the deer the issue. And I'm not saying don't put them on the website. No one from the EAC at that meeting had a problem with this group. They did not see any reason not to have them on the website and for them to be used. But I'm just asking for us to be able to do one entire baseline BioBlitz for that area.
Would there taking deer off the property change anything with your BioBlitz activity of the times you could go on and what results you're going to get off it?
Possibly. At this point, I don't know if we can tell you that.
Right. You had something to say. Come up.
What was she done? Was she done?
Yeah.
From me on multiple occasions, and it's because I represent the people who are not here, the residents who are seeing the public health, the public safety, the quality of life that's impacted, the property damage, the horrific scene of a deer impaled on my HOA-approved fence with its hind leg ripped off early morning. There are kids in the neighborhood. It is a real quality of life, and it is a humanity issue. And it's naive to think that these deer are just hanging out in one location, or two, or three. They're nomadic. They follow a trail. They follow a trail right into my yard and up in a cross-country club to the homes over there. They are nomadic. And so if we have the opportunity on these 3 or 4 properties that the township maintains that can safely begin this management program, we need an impact, and we need it now. And if you want to count, you can count the bodies that are being donated to the food bank. I mean, let's get real about this, okay? Thank you. And I really do appreciate how far y'all have come. When I saw the presentations, I realized the reason we have a problem is because we abandoned what you were doing 30 years ago, Bob. And everybody else continued doing their job. And they're all coming here and propagating here. And I actually think we just need to get on with it now. We have a safe, proven, experienced group. Thank you very much.
Let's.
I'm not trying to cut off.
No. I'll make. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm going to make a motion that do we need to make a motion, or do we just say, Mike, get it ready?
We don't need a motion at this point.
Give you guys direction.
Just give us the direction.
Yeah.
And
We'll give you direction to review a contract and present something to us at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
And work with them on a plan.
And
we'll start with all 4 properties, and that way you can fully consider anything that's
That's
put
my
before you.
support.
Yep. All right. If the board's okay with it, I'd like to reach out to Steve. If anybody from the township roads crew or somebody wants to come with me, I'd like to take him out just to do a quick review of each of the properties, walk the perimeter, go through the property, see what it looks like, and that way you can come back with what you'd recommend.
100%.
Okay.
I'm happy to do all.
Yeah, we
All
should
right.
coordinate on Pickering and Valley Park is fine because those are open to the public. Sedgley and the other property, I would really rather hold.
I can hold off on the other property, but why hold off on Sedgley?
We just have to coordinate that one.
Okay.
I'm just saying he can go out to Pickering
Oh.
and Valley Park whenever he wants to.
I can coordinate with you with getting a timeline together. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Is the board okay with that?
We want to have. What's,
I want our township staff to be involved in the conversation. Yeah.
You want somebody from the police department? You want whoever
No,
comes in?
Lori oversees the police department, so just I want you to coordinate with her.
Okay.
Say that again. You know,
We don't
we're-
trust Bob to communicate that.
Yeah, what's up with that? I can't. The supervisor who's over the township staff can't do this.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying like I think our staff. She's the
uh,
person who coordinates the roads, the crew, the police department.
Yeah.
She,
You know what? Let
Oh,
two
no,
supervisors take the guy out. That's fine. It's not. Doesn't have to be that we put more workload on her to coordinate everything. Give me another supervisor if you don't want me going alone.
it's not that. I just
It-
feel like I don't know why we're not using our.
Because you're saying they're overloaded as is. I know the properties.
So
I'll-
here's one thing, if you really want to, in 90-degree heat, walk through these properties, and sweat and bugs and ticks and spiders and all that stuff. Again, that's something we do. I mean, so I don't want her to do something that she necessarily doesn't want to do either, right? I'd rather come up with a plan and provide it to Lori with assistance from the board and let her okay.
Yeah. Do we have anybody else on the board that wants to take a walk with me? I'll take them down. If not, I'll do it on my own and
The only
get it
point
done.
I was trying to make there was that if he should, someone from the township, whether it's board or otherwise,
give you
should
the-
go with him on.
Yeah, I'll give you the
Sedgley.
dates of when we're
I
going
don't
and we'll
have
set
to-
it up.
I
We can
wasn't
let
saying
everybody
that
know.
staff had to go. I was just saying that if for some reason Bob was not available for the properties that are not currently open to the public, someone from the township needs to go.
Okay.
I can
That was the
lean
only
into
point I
Bob.
was trying
I
to
can-
make.
Okay. And
You want
it's
to
not
join?
that I don't-
All right.
Don't
Devin and
Yeah,
I'll
no,
go down.
Don't
She-
misunderstand what I'm saying.
Yeah, she
It's, we started talking about now we're going to have somebody from the road crew come out, right? Then you say you want.
If you want somebody from the road crew to go, if
So,
not,
like-
or I can go alone, I can go with another supervisor. Let's just get it done. It's a
I'm fine.
couple
I'm
hours
fine
of,
with it. Don't misunderstand
there it
what I'm
is.
saying.
You want to join?
I was just going to
All right.
mention that we are having the Bio Blitz this weekend, so.
Oh,
there
I will
be-
make sure it's not on top of when you guys are
No, I'm
out
saying
there.
you can join us then.
Oh.
This weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You just have to sign a township waiver and be there when we are
Yeah.
there as township representatives.
I will be up in Maine this Saturday and Sunday. My
I just wanted to
apologies.
ma-
But the week
if-
after,
if you wanted to come during that, I don't know if you would allow that, but I was saying we would be there.
actually, I could do it.
And if any of you don't, we're just reminding you, come help
I'm out
us.
of the country or I would 100% be there.
I could do it as soon as this Wednesday, Steve, but I'll talk to Steve. I'll check with Lori, let her know so she can put the alerts out to anybody that's going to be. All right. Well, we'll talk. We'll get it set up. Thank you. All right, moving along. Discussion of possible action on Route 23 sidewalk project. Thank you, Steve, for coming out.
So we are moving along on a sidewalk project. We still have a couple of holdouts on the consent letters. And just as a recap, the consent letters are required in order for us to get our permits from PennDOT that we need in order to get this project out to bid. We've been working on this project for many years. So we're down to 4 consent letters. We've turned them over to the solicitor's office to handle. So we'll be looking into taking some next steps on that, which will come before the board at the next board meeting. One of the other matters that has come up, and it's the only really remaining outstanding issue that we have as far as the engineering of the plans, is that PennDOT has asked us, well, they're saying they're requiring us to do a soft dig. We discussed this several months ago. We've been trying to push back in hopes of not having to do the soft dig because it is a substantial cost. We're looking at probably give or take $20,000. And we're required to do that on the front end. So it's not something that we can bid with the project and we have to do that in order to get our approvals, in order to get the project to bid. So at this point, and Paul chime in here however you want. I wanted to bring it back to the board to decide, or to have you give us direction on, we've been trying to hold the line on the soft dig and say that we don't want to do it, which we can continue to do. We don't have the consent letters yet. But the question is, we did see some issues with the Wawa. There's a lot of entanglement of utilities, I'll say, out there at that stretch of the road. And Wawa, as we saw them go through the land development process and working on the intersection improvements, and we'll be digging in the same areas, it stands to reason that we could run into conflicts later on. So the question is, do you want us to start getting proposals for the soft dig so that we can move it forward and add it into our budget, or continue to fight?
So I know what a soft dig is. Does everyone know what a soft dig is? Okay. You just like, you're not using big machinery when you're trying to find the locates where you're kind of taking a more nuanced approach, surgical approach. I wouldn't fight it. I would just get proposals for a soft dig. I think it's
underground issues.
Yeah, there's one particular location right by Benson Road where there's going to be a crossing there. And what the issue is that there's on one side of the road, we have to put in more drainage. So we have an 18-inch pipe, which is going to connect into, we tried to say, can we just connect into the existing 12-inch CMP that literally crosses at a rough angle 23 that goes to the side where the Wawa is located eventually. PennDOT has pushed back on that design multiple times, and that's where they want the soft dig. And like Danielle had explained, it's going to be people with diamond cutters going through the road. Then they're going to have an excavator trying to pull up the dirt. Then they're going to have what's called a hydro truck, where it's basically, think of it like almost like a fire hose, and you just blast it. And then they scoop out the muck, they vacuum it out into a dump truck, and they just keep going down to the level where they are to see what is, the utilities that are there. Consistent with what Lori had said, Wawa has hit a lot of dead pipe.
This is the main intersection, and without it, you can't proceed with the sidewalks. Is that?
It's not all the way down the whole stretch, just at
right.
No, it's not. It's not down the whole stretch at all.
Okay.
It's actually it's not very long at all. It's about. Sorry, they didn't put it down, but it's probably be about 100 feet going from one section of 23 across to the other. So this is Vincent Road. So this is the section that would need the saw cut. So you can see it's not like just a simple 90-degree angle. It's a long 45 or 60. It should also be noted that the proposals I got, they've requested us to videotape this existing 12-inch CMP line too. That's included in the price.
So it doesn't hurt to get a proposal.
I would get a proposal.
Okay, let's get that started.
I wouldn't want to be in the position of PennDOT having recommended this. We push back on it. Maybe we're successful, and then we don't do the soft dig, and then we hit a water line or something else, and we have egg on our face. I wouldn't belabor this any longer.
So I did secure one proposal, which includes
just direction.
the video camera, which includes the hydro excavation for the saw cut, all the labor. I asked them to include the traffic control as well, because that's going to be complicated. They think it's going to be a 2-day process, and I should include also the restoration of this of the pavement in this area temporarily. They believe it's going to be a 2-day job for everything except for the videotape, which I would agree with. They're going to probably have to do one lane of 23, then the second lane of 23. I also talked to a surveyor to get out there as well, because we would need to get them to pick the elevations off of that. I didn't want to go through that because then we'd be paying some more middleman price for that. The township could go directly to a surveyor. And additionally, I talked to the Chesco County PennDOT representative about what permits would be needed. So there would be no fee to the township for the permits for that, but we would just need a utility permit to do the trenching.
But because of the price of that, we have to get 2 more.
Correct. Yeah. So this. So this came just on Friday.
So that's why it's not
morning.
for you to approve tonight. We have to get more.
Is it around 20,000?
It's for everything except for the survey is $20,500. The survey, he thinks it would probably be about $3,000 to do the survey.
So we just need an official proposal on that. We can talk about it next month.
We'll look at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll get two other proposals,
Get two other
and then we'll
proposals.
vote on them next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, moving on.
No, we still have to give them, do we have to give you direction on, or did we already gave you direction on another part? I'm
Yep,
sorry.
good on that.
All right. Discussion of possible approval of contract renewal with Red Tail Restoration in the amount of,
Yeah, so that is blank because because this contract traditionally has gone July to July. The EAC asked us if we could change that from January to December, just to get on a more regular schedule to coincide with our budget cycle, and because they're also entertaining the concept of asking the board to approve additional money in the budget next year for Red Tail Services so that they can do more work.
so you want me to make the motion contingent upon it being,
Nope, I have two options for the
Go
board to
ahead.
consider. So, Valentina talked to Red Tail about this. No objection to giving us an extension in the contract, basically giving us a new contract from now until the end of the year, except there's a caveat. If we go to December 31st, it will be a little bit more expensive than our hourly rate now. But if we go to January 31st, they'll honor the same pricing. And that's just to make it a little bit administratively easier on their end. I have no problem with it going to January 31st. It's better than July from a budgetary standpoint. So I have no real.
So what's the price difference between the two options?
It would be, $3 an hour. So it really, either option is fine with me. $3 an hour is not going to kill our budget, but if it's better for them to go to January 31st, I don't have a strong objection
they
to it.
hold the price till January 31st?
Yep,
is what they're
January
saying?
31st, and then we'll get a new
Yeah,
contract and handle the new contract in December.
Yeah, I'd say we go to January 31st unless anybody. You need a motion on that, or?
Yes.
All right, I'll
so-
make a motion that we approve the contract extension going to January 31st with Red Tail at the same.
Well, you'll want to, this will actually, because it's kind of a new contract. So the term is July 1st, 2026 to January 31st, 2027 in the amount of $6,132.
I'll make a motion, we approve that.
Perfect.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Great.
Consider appointment of Matthew.
Do I public comment on that?
What's that?
Oh,
Public
yeah.
comment?
Oh, any public comment?
Just gotta make sure.
My bad. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Consideration of appointment of Matthew Pitkowski to replace Earl Cram as the Schuylkill Township Representative, Phoenixville Regional Trail Committee. I'll make a motion that we appoint Matthew for that position. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right.
Earl has notified the township that he will be moving, so he cannot, he wanted somebody else to take that spot instead of him taking it for a short time. He has not formally submitted any resignation to the EAC yet, so that will eventually come before you. I don't know that we have a firm moving date yet for him, but he didn't want to take that spot.
Okay. We have a motion, a second. Any comment from the board?
Matt is great. Highly recommend.
Okay. Any comments from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion to appoint, I'll make a motion to appoint,
Actually, we're going to table that.
we're going to table the next one.
Yeah, we're tabling that because we were not able to get we had some scheduling conflicts with the interview for the new appointee. So we'll handle it for the next meeting. The
Okay,
Historical Commission is not meeting this month anyway, so.
got
So
it.
the attorney might go?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, he volunteered, yeah. Yep.
Very
Is that reading
cool.
of the
We got him with the
Constitution,
reading of the Constitution, yeah.
Nice, way to go.
Might be a useful tactic.
Yep, that's
for
how we
Yeah,
hooked
we're
him.
going to have more parties.
Hey, we'll do it every month if it means we get more
Yeah.
volunteers.
All right, resolutions and ordinances. Consur, I think there's a typo there.
Oh, yep.
Consider adoption of resolution 2026-16 DCED MTF grant Township Line Road Bridge restoration. I will make a motion that we
Do that.
adopt, that resolution and go forward on that. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, Lori, you could explain this one a little better.
Yes, so the board authorized us to hire Bowman, to pay Bowman, our traffic engineer, to prepare this grant application for the township. So just as a reminder of what the project is, Township Line Road Bridge, it's a township road. The bridge we discovered last year was in need of some repairs, but there are no major structural issues with it, but we put it on an every 6-month inspection timeframe with our traffic engineer. So at the last inspection, a month or two ago, they discovered that part of the wall is failing. Again, it's not a structural issue, meaning that the road can't support traffic, not that type of issue, but the wall does need to be addressed. However, because of the age of the structure, it's a very, very large repair. The entire structure needs to be replaced. Now, because it is not exceedingly time sensitive in the fact that the road can't be driven on, we're putting temporary traffic control measures in place in the form of jersey barriers and in coordination with our traffic engineer to make sure that everything is up to safety standards while we seek this grant funding from the state, because this is over $1 million project.
Can I ask a crazy question? Could we just get an agreement with East Pikeland to close one of those bridges and just use one to get a cost sharing agreement with them? Like we're talking about the T, right? Like it goes like this. I mean, do we need both of these really expensive bridges? Both of our townships, right?
One's
not ours.
One's state, right? And one's ours.
No, aren't both of them?
No, they're not both ours.
No.
No, they're not both ours. Was the other one a state?
I think that's a county bridge. That's a county
County.
bridge, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be.
It's county bridge
and-
in East Pikeland Township.
What's that? Oh, yeah. I'm not going to do that. You can. I'll give you the TNT. You do the work. Actually, I don't want anything to do with it. You do it all. Okay.
So we're going to, the grant application, we're trying to get the funding in order to do the bridge replacement. If the board wants to consider doing something different with the road at some point, we can entertain that. If we don't get the money at this point, we're going to continue with every 6-month inspections to make sure that it's not deteriorating any further. Of course, if it came to that, it's actually actually more like 1.4 is the cost estimate.
1.38. What's the jersey? I'm going to look this up and see what they look like. What'd you call
Jersey
them?
barriers?
Jersey barriers.
They're the concrete barriers you see along highways that PennDOT uses.
Okay.
So to be clear, this would be the temporary stopgap, the jersey barriers, while we await the grant. And so we'd be voting to support that approach.
No, all you're voting on is the resolution that allows us to apply for the grant.
Oh.
It has to be included with our application, and the board has already authorized us to apply for the grant.
In the event that we don't get the grant, what happens?
We try again.
How long can we go on with trying until we have to take the hit?
I think we have other options available to us before we just sink $1.5 million into this out of township coffers, which we can discuss at a later time. The road could be closed temporarily if it needed to be. But I think our best course of action is to try to apply for grant funding to do the replacement versus allocating it out of township
Okay,
funds.
well, we have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Any comments from the public? All in favor?
Aye. Go get that grant.
All right, make a motion to adopt Resolution 2026-17 for the amended pension plan administrator. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Lori.
This is just a simple housekeeping item. We need to officially get Martha off of, I can't remove her from the website for our pension plan without having the board pass a resolution. She doesn't receive anything and she has no access to anything, but her name's still on there. So
Got
we
it.
have to update the resolution in order to
All right.
formally update the
We have a
files.
motion, a second. Any comment?
Aye.
Any comments from the public? All in favor?
Loudly vote.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, 2-minute reports, board liaisons. John.
Thank you. Attended the Historical Commission meeting, and we were given a presentation by Founding Forward with their whole master plan, which does not tie directly to the Historical Commission, but they're really investing quite a bit, and it's pretty interesting. And I wanted just to mention to Valentina and Lori that that to me is a newsletter opportunity for the future, because they're doing a lot there, which is pretty exciting. And then there was a concern about that they're going to present, I think, to Lori and possibly to us about, as they do more to the campus there. They're concerned about traffic safety and access. There's like one way in, one way out, and they might come back to talk about like a secondary, like to create an in and out situation. So that's a future thing. I believe they're acquiring the property next door, which is exciting. Like that's consistent with open space, mission. Yeah, great. So that's pretty neat. And then the grant, they'll be excited about that grant award for the mid-century project. So that's great news there. So that's all I have there.
So we covered two of the big things at the EAC. The other one was the Bio Blitz this weekend. Board members are more than welcome to come join. I'll be sending around a sign-up Genius link for anyone who's interested to join for taking time slots. I got that earlier today. I'll be sending it around for anyone who's around. That's really it.
I don't think data centers, hot topic again, Phoenixville Regional Planning Commission, Schuylkill Township Planning Commission. I don't remember what we talked about. Nothing crazy.
The planning commission talked about the Thompson Tract sketch plan.
That's right. Yeah.
And the data center. We talked about
the ordinance.
The ordinance.
Yeah.
I'd just say, so East Pikeland had these hearings recently about their data center ordinance, and I think there was a lot of misunderstanding from the public about what that was about. And so if our township was going to follow suit and try to put something on the books, we really need to put some education around that. A lot of people misunderstood the intent.
I will say we were surprised at the lack of attendance. I shouldn't say surprised, but we thought data centers would do it at the planning commission meeting, and it didn't. There were a couple people, but not nothing broader. So I don't know. Maybe that's yeah. I mean, out of the big light up sign, we're going to talk about data centers. Come to this meeting, something like that. I don't know.
Open space, been talking to Tim and going over a few things. Unfortunately, I couldn't make the last meeting, but still outreach is going strong. There's potential for something coming up, which we'll talk about probably in the next month or two, with one that looks like it might be in motion. But Township Manager, Lori.
I have nothing that was not already discussed tonight.
All right. Chief of Police.
Just to reinforce what John said about bounding forward, I've been working with their head of security for the Union League, Eileen Bear. She was a former police chief in White Marsh Township in Montgomery County. We assisted with security for their naturalization ceremony down there. They naturalized 64 people. The governor came, of course, gave us a day and a half notice, but Sheriff's Department assisted, and everything went really well. It was a good time, very, very moving ceremony. The only other thing I have is my normal monthly report. If anybody has any questions, feel free to fire away. No? Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
I can second that. The naturalization ceremony was amazingly well run and smoothly operated, and it was enjoyable. And you wouldn't want to ask my 8-year-old son. He didn't find it very entertaining, but we did. So
good deal. All right, Township Engineer, Paul.
Yes, thank you. Presently under review, we have a sketch plan, we have a land development application, we have a handful of stormwater management grading permit applications. Most of them are revisions that are coming in. And additionally, I'm keeping the township staff and the emergency services updated about all the Wawa offsite improvements on 23 and South Whitehorse. They kind of start and stop depending on what's going on, utility conflicts and the such. So as soon as I find out what their schedules are, I relay that just so that everyone's aware of it.
Great. Fire. Everything's groovy? All right. Car show. Did the last one get canceled? So they're redoing it? And what's the date? July 25th.
Registration starts here 9 o'clock.
All right. Ah, crap.
You guys are always real great with the, time and date details. What time does it start? Show up when you show up.
That's how you get people on your socials, right?
There you go. All right. Well, thank you guys for all you do. And additional business discussion of agenda items for upcoming workshop meetings.
I have nothing for July, and it's my understanding that I think at least 2 board members are traveling. I think.
So July 23rd, we got 2 that are away. July 30th is the last Thursday of the month. If there are any burning topics that we want to put out there.
The meeting is
Oh,
the
you're still
20.
away.
The meeting is the 23rd. The 4th Thursday.
Right.
Yeah.
I was saying if we wanted to call an audible.
Oh, if we wanted to move it.
Yeah. And what do we have for August?
Budget.
And that is August 27th.
Correct.
Got it. One of the things we talked about with the ClearGov and the software, the fellow's been following up. They're very aggressive. And one of the things we talked about was the need for a strategic plan, which was part of what we could weave in, an important part of what we can get working on now. So I asked him for some leads of some folks that we could possibly outsource to. So I'm waiting for some answers back on that. We've had some talks with other people to see if there's anybody that's really good at putting that together with us to be able to get that started and have a roadmap for the future. So more to be revealed there as we make progress with other folks that we're bringing in to talk about. He did ask if, and I know, did everybody get a chance to, John, you and I saw the presentation that he gave us on the software and the product. I think we had it recorded. I don't know if anybody else had a chance to watch that and see what it looks like. He's asking if he can come in front and give the public a view of it and us at one of the future meetings. So I don't know how the group feels about that, but could be a chance for others to ask questions that haven't been asked yet and for the public to get a look at it.
Do you think of that as a workshop topic?
Either a workshop or chop out a small piece of one of the regular meetings. But I'd rather get something on there sooner than later.
I'd like to see that on the strategic planning piece, because it's like the software is sort of like, marrying it to your budgeting, your financial planning, all of that, from what I understand, like that portion of it. Like the strategic planning thought I had, and I've talked to Bob a bit about it. And I think we've all talked about it. It is more of a exercise to get take a high level view and get a consensus through stakeholder input from our key stakeholders, includes residents, ourselves, and then really just sort of prioritize and develop kind of the vision for our township. And I don't think this has to, you can do, the gentleman that was here for the Bio Blitz, I think he handed me the strategic plan he did because he's done this professionally. And his is, very sophisticated, thorough, comprehensive, but I think that's more than what we need. Like, I think, but this would, ideally have a facilitator that's doing the interviews, pulling it together for us. And I reached out to Nicole Beckett. I don't know if Lori, you know her. Yeah. And she has a background. I'm not, she's interested. She's done a lot of consulting with townships. She's familiar with our township to some extent. Whether or not she has quite the strategic planning, understanding, what, I don't know. I'm not sure she's it, but she's interested. And she's from a nonprofit, the Maynard Institute, which is affiliated with Lafayette College. And they work with townships. I know they do recruiting, they do other things. So I think finding that facilitator would be interesting. Reaching out to some other people. I don't know that a lot of township, my general sense is someone new to all this, and I don't know that townships typically do this. So I don't know that there's like a big group of consultants that provide it.
I don't think so. I've been on charitable boards and we do a charitable.
Yeah, like, yeah, and I've done that too. And so it could be, I mean, I don't think it's something for this year, but I think it's something to kind of try to lean into as we go into next year. So you start with, like, that's sort of, okay, this board and the board changes and all that, but our general direction is this, and we've had a chance to discuss these things so that we're not just looking at projects in isolation and not in a full picture. And then, you know, have that framework, and then the software tool to me then sort of comes underneath that.
So you're suggesting that we do this as a workshop topic, but not in the future. We're going to have another board member that is not here, so we should wait until that person.
Yeah,
Place.
well,
Thinking this is 2027.
I think for me it's like finding the facilitator.
Okay, so a meeting dedicated to discussing how we would approach the strategic plan.
I mean, we could do that. Like
a workshop topic more than a meeting.
Yes, it sounds like a workshop.
Like I took some notes. Like I did it. You know. To me, it's fairly straightforward. You develop a steering committee, you announce it to the public, and this also, you know, this is definitely consistent with transparency, public input, you know, representing the people that put us here, all that kind of thing. But you make it manageable so that it's not unwieldy, it's not creating so much, you know, work, even just to schedule meetings. So you have a fairly streamlined steering committee consisting of us, Lori, Valentina, and, you know, representatives from police, fire, et cetera, and then a couple of residents. And then you have the structure part is where the facilitator, we don't need to do a retreat or anything like that. It's more, they are going to ask some questions and, you know, maybe try to gather information, perspectives, not unlike what was done for Sedgley to some extent, but just done differently. And then from that, you know, come up with, you know, and then have, you know, conversations at some point, which would probably be done in a workshop setting, I would think.
We're just talking right now. We're just talking about topics for the next workshop meeting.
Right.
So let's just decide if this is a topic. We're not having this discussion now.
Yeah.
Should be an agenda.
This conversation should be an agenda topic. It's
Exactly.
not on the agenda, so this would be a workshop to discuss when we want to do something, but the public needs to be able to comment as well. So we can't just discuss this here. It has to be a topic on the agenda to be able to say if we want to do this and have public comment. So we can say here, yes, it should be a workshop topic.
The question is, should we put this as a workshop topic?
Exactly. So we don't have to get into
Yeah.
Or should we
not
put it on the agenda
right
as
now.
I think we go for workshop.
Okay.
After we have another person. Yeah. I'm sorry you're gone.
But I think we put it as one of the higher ups that we do what we can to do our homework, to find some people to maybe bring in and have some presentations.
Yeah.
To see what, you know, what could be done.
If you're thinking this is going to be something that you want included in the 2026 budget, October is our first budget workshop. So are you asking?
What's August?
August is the 5-year budget and the capital improvement plan that the board has asked me to prepare.
Okay.
And October is our first regular budget workshop, and we may also we probably will have more than one. So if this is something that the board is interested in for 2026, then it sounds like you need me to get proposals.
I'm open to discussing it. I don't think we are.
Well, getting proposals isn't going to be making a decision.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Sorry, my mic off there.
This is something that we're having to do, is get proposals for a
strategic?
No, I think this should be board led, and it doesn't mean to the exclusion of Lori, but we're not handing it to Lori to do the strategic plan. This is a board led exercise.
With something for 2027.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a 2027 workshop topic.
So we need to try to get some idea of a cost, is what I think we're hearing to infuse to the
I
budget.
see.
Yeah, if you want this to happen in 2027,
yeah.
I need
Right.
I need
Okay.
to know what it's going to cost by October.
Gotcha.
Okay. I had a talk yesterday with the fellow that represents ClearGov, is coming back with some recommendations. So
Okay.
he sent me an email today and said he's digging and working on it. We can look around and see if anybody else has any ideas.
Well, everyone
We'll
can
bring it
submit
back.
budget items, so if you get a cost from someone, you can
See, you're
submit that
okay,
to,
you're
submit that to Lori in the first round version of the budget.
I'm
She's
sorry.
fading.
I'm sorry. So, I mean, the way the budget works is you could find somebody, a consultant, and then submit that as a budget item, and then Lori can
Okay.
add it into the first cut.
All right.
Thank you. That's helpful.
We'll get working on that. Any other topics? Anything? All right. Well, as
So are we
Do you-
canceling July, or does the
I
board
think
have
we're-
anything?
I think we're canceled for July.
I can't do this, so I can't.
You don't want to Zoom at 3 in the morning?
I have done it.
I have. From Africa. Go on. I got Africa. You got to go the other way. You got Thailand? I was underwater. I was down by the Titanic in this little thing. And, yeah. All right. Then let's move on. If there's no other topics, announcements,
Have none.
public comment. We have none. We got to find something to talk about.
Make it to 10.
I'll make a motion. Make a motion. We're going to adjourn and go into a 2-minute exec session. Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Second.
Aye. All right. Thank you, public.